A long spear sweeps across, freezing the air mid-strike. Wang Sung blocks Huang Tian'er/dead. Huang Tian'er, stop. Not a battle. This is a secret meeting within the four walls of Zigua Courtyard. Huang Tian'er is forced back more than 50 zhang, leaving Wang Sung alone to face 5th Prince Li Han and his trusted eunuch Li Jingzhong. Li Han is plunging into a waking nightmare. The old wet nurse of Princess Ni Huang takes his pulse and discovers he has been secretly practicing martial arts. The 3rd prince learns of it and immediately memorializes the throne. His Highness has reached the 8th stage of Yuan Qi, a fatal exaggeration. That very night, the sacred emperor issues a summons for Li Han to enter the palace. Li Jingzhong bows his head, voice trembling. Whatever I do, it is wrong. Confess, and it becomes deceiving the sovereign. Deny, and it becomes lying to the emperor. Either way, he enrages the pack of remaining princes. Li Han grips Wang Sung's sleeve. Wang Sung, you must find a way to help me. He is the only one who was ever thrown into imperial prison, and then released, living proof of the sacred emperor's special favor. But Wang Sung goes cold. This is an entirely new situation. The memories of his past life are useless here. In the trees on the hillside, Li Han and Li Jingzhong hold their breath, eyes fixed on Wang Sung's silhouette in the distance. He sits alone in a corner of the forest, mind racing. His eldest uncle Wang Zhen is consumed by court affairs. There is no one to consult. This time he must bear everything alone. He looks up, voice like iron. Demonstrate full power. Hide nothing. Concealment is the true crime against the sovereign. But laying bare one's full strength, exactly what an emperor who reveres martial prowess wants to see. Li Han pales. Then won't I become a target for every arrow? Wang Sung answers flatly. What is fortune is not calamity. What is calamity cannot be escaped. Only that throne is his true shield. Wang Sung promises one more move. He will seek out consort Taizhun and, through her connection with Yang Zhao, forge a long-term political pillar for Li Han. But first, he himself must survive tonight's trial. Huang Tian'er still seethes at being driven back. But watching the boy's unmistakable imperial bearing as he walks away, she pieces together his true identity. A messenger falcon drops into Wang Sung's hand. He reads, then changes course instantly, straight to the capital, never returning to Zigua Courtyard. Lao Ying reports, every arrowhead points at the Wusi-Zang envoy mission currently stationed in the capital. Their eldest prince has lingered here for over 3 months. At the northern training grounds, a grisly sight, dozens of great Tang martial artists lie scattered across the earth. The Honglu temple official stands blocking the way, ordering that the eldest prince must not be harmed. Capture alive only. The crowd seethes with fury. Huang Tian'er calls the rule grossly unjust. Wang Sung scoffs. Honglu Temple. What else is new? Honglu Temple's reputation across the empire has long since rotted. A guardsman's corpse is carried out, a hole punched clean through his chest, living proof of that cowardly policy. Wusi-Zang cavalryman broadcasts taunts across the training grounds. The eldest prince has spoken. Your Central Plains masters aren't worth a single blow. Duke Tubo's Mangpoch counsels his lord to be cautious. A 100-legged worm dies yet does not stiffen. Great Tang is indeed not what it once was. The eldest prince sneers, delivering the final word. After today, we leave Great Tang and return to the empire. Wang Sung stands in silence, realizing the true price is not paid in flesh and blood. It is paid in the hearts of men. Let this demoralization drag on, and an entire generation of Great Tang warriors will lose all will to fight. Word from Lao Ying. The capital Zhang family patriarch has personally overseen the forging of a heavy Abyss Sea profound iron armor for Wang Sung, the strongest swordsmith, the strongest inscription master, assembling a suit of armor unlike any before. Huang Tian'er watches Wang Sung prepare, her voice dropping low. What are you going to do? Only what must be done. He hauls on the Abyss Sea profound iron heavy armor, 100 jin in weight, delivered by the personal disciples of the capital Zhang family. In the training grounds, aristocratic scion Li Chun is cornered, his body covered in blade wounds, strength spent. The eldest prince deliberately leaves openings, forcing his opponent to hold back, terrified of the crime of killing a foreign prince. Wang Sung watches from the gallery. Huang Tian'er is about to charge down and intervene. Lao Ying holds her back. Their young master's custom armor was designed to counter even divine marksmen. A knight in gleaming plate rides into the training grounds, face hidden behind a fully enclosed helm, gripping a Wusi steel spear. The entire arena exhales. Another tragedy averted. The eldest prince ignores all warnings, spurs his horse, and charges straight at Li Chun. A massive iron arrow tears through the wind, halting the charge mid-stride. The Honglu Temple official roars from the gallery, "Do not harm the Wusi-Zang prince." He immediately orders the imperial guards to surround and seize the archer. The knight responds in flawless Wusi-Zang, stunning the entire envoy mission. He raises Prince Song's token to halt the guards, then tears off the helm, revealing the very young face of Wang Sung. In the gallery, the Honglu Temple officials recognize him instantly. The youngest son of the capital's Wang clan, the one who has thwarted their plans time and again. Both sides channel their power. Wang Sung unleashes 2 dark Wu-chasing light rings. The eldest prince counters with 5 phantom rings in the shape of black yak demons. Both horses surge at full speed, crashing head-on, wind screaming across the training grounds. The distance closes with each heartbeat. 20 zhang, 10, 8, 6. Right before impact, Wang Sung redirects. His iron aura garment does not strike the rider, but crashes into the mouth of the Quinqueo warhorse. The beast panics, hurling its master to the ground. He instantly executes serpent coiling reverse, sweeping his horse in a 180-degree arc, wheeling back the instant his opponent hits the ground. The eldest prince uses the same old trick, making his body a shield. Wang Sung does not hesitate. He vaults from the saddle, his Wusi steel blade piercing straight through the Baihui acupoint at the crown of the skull. The eldest prince crumples, dead on the spot. The crowd erupts in cheers. The Honglu Temple official trembles with rage. Duke Mangpoj roars, unleashing a torrent of golden killing aura in vengeance. Lao Ying's iron arrow streaks out to intercept, shattering in an instant. At the critical moment, a disembodied voice rings out, halting that aura dead, as though time itself has frozen. Duke Mangpoj, lost your patience so soon? Duke Mangpoj freezes. For the first time, a flicker of genuine terror crosses his face, before the great Tang youth standing more than 10 zhang away. He feigns ignorance. "Young man, I have no idea what you are talking about." Wang Sung replies in flawless Central Plains tongue. "The legendary Duke Mangpoj, is it not said you speak both Chinese and Tibetan?" The Duke growls a threat. "The eldest prince is not yours to kill as you please." Wang Sung leans in, whispers a single sentence. No one catches the words. They only see Duke Mangpoj's entire body shudder, the killing intent in his eyes snuffed out like a candle. He rides up to the envoy mission and speaks directly, in Wusi-Zang, to the true leader Chihan, "Watch your brother. The throne is indeed yours to claim, but alas, you may not have the life to sit upon it." Duke Mangpoj lifts his fallen rider's body, leads a dozen heavy cavalry, and silently withdraws from the training grounds. Amid the buzzing crowd, Wang Sung stands alone, a silent notification echoing through his mind. 15 destiny points added. Total. Now 94. Wang Sung walks through the throng. Cheers erupt from every direction. Lao Ying and the others surge forward to meet him. Honglu Temple official Zhang Chenchu strides up, face dark. "Do you not know who the eldest prince of Wusi-Zang is? He is the heir to an entire empire." He warns. This will shatter decades of peace between the two powers. He moves to order the arrest. Lao Ying and Huang Tian'er immediately step in front of Wang Sung. Both sides drawn taut as bowstrings, a single brush of a hand away from drawing blades. Wang Sung speaks, utterly calm. "You have hosted a fake prince for over 3 months, and still cannot tell the difference? A true eldest prince, the future heir to an empire. How could he risk his life so recklessly? And Duke Mangpoj would never, ever allow that to happen." Zhang Chenchu is struck dumb, no argument left. Wang Sung declares that the Wang clan will take full responsibility, then turns and walks away, leaving the official rooted in stunned silence in the middle of the training grounds. Just as Wang Sung leaves the training grounds, deep within the imperial palace, 5th Prince Li Han paces alone with head bowed, his heart in turmoil. Over an hour passes before he is finally summoned into the Great Hall. The Assembly of Dragons, a ritual where each prince presents affairs of state before the sacred emperor in turn. Li Han stands at the tail of the line, utterly ignored, his name never called. The session shifts to a banquet of song and dance. Mid-feast, the third prince, whose true name is revealed at last, Li Ren, rises, voice dripping honey. Royal father, why not let fifth brother perform the sword dance he has prepared? The entire hall bursts into laughter. Everyone knows Li Han has never learned a single sword dance. But through the jeers, he suddenly recalls Wang Sung's words. Place yourself at death's door to find life. Li Han draws a deep breath, lifts his head, and declares, I have indeed prepared a sword dance, and wish to present it to royal father. The sacred emperor raises a brow. Gazing at the sun, the entire court dismisses. Then he utters a single word. Granted. One word. Yet enough to stir 1,000 waves in Li Han's heart. He has seized both an opportunity and a trap. For a dance he does not yet know how to perform. Next episode. How will Li Han survive the stage he has just stepped onto? The palace gates burst open with a thunderous crash. A lone horse streaks out into the night, hoofs pounding like drums. Li Han, the fifth prince, has just performed an entire sword routine before the sacred emperor, shattering the image of weakness he has carried for years. Not a word of reproach. The sacred emperor silently watches the son the entire court once deemed useless, then bestows upon him an imperial python robe, an unprecedented public mark of protection from the throne. Li Jingzhong grabs his sleeve, frantically pressing for the outcome again and again. Li Hung beams, eyes reddening. Uncle Jing, Wang Sung was right. He was exactly right. Come. Take me to Wang Sung at once. The third prince, Li Lin, hears the news and chokes on his own rage. His plan to crush Li Hung has just blown up in front of his royal father. He immediately summons the ghost hand. The black-robed, triangular-eyed old man once seen lurking near Lingmai Mountain, and orders him to find the mastermind behind the fifth prince at any cost. The second, fourth, sixth, and seventh princes, all four now look at Li Hung with the same realization. He is no longer a weak younger brother, but a genuine threat to the throne. Word reaches Wang Sung via a falcon. After reading it, he goes still, this is only the opening act. Wang Sung steps through the vermilion gates, setting foot for the first time in Yuzhen Palace, the residence of the most beautiful woman in Great Tang. She looks at him, her voice cold and sharp. Wang Sung, you've finally come to see me? He recognizes it at once. The woman before him has long left the realm of ordinary mortals. Her cultivation has reached the first or second level of Xuanwu. Yang Zhao, standing beside her, has advanced to the fifth or sixth level of Jinwu. Both must have received some secret empowerment technique. He cuts straight to the point. He asks her to aid the fifth prince. Yang Zhao startles. Princely disputes are not something we can touch. Do you realize what you're asking her ladyship? Consort Taizhen coldly shakes her head and refuses outright. Wang Sung does not back down. Your ladyship, the elephant in the room is too large. Even if it does nothing, the other beasts still feel threatened. Is your ladyship not in exactly that position? Even without touching the princely disputes, they still see you as a menace. The words strike the fear she has hidden for so long. Consort Taizhen scolds him for his insolence. But the words he utters while turning to leave make her freeze, and she cannot stop thinking about them. Wang Sung presses further. Does your ladyship not see that her situation now is exactly like the fifth prince's? Both have risen too fast, and so both are envied and watched by everyone. Then he delivers the killing blow. But 100 years from now, when a new emperor ascends the throne, how does your ladyship plan to survive? Establish the eldest, not the youngest, that law has endured since the times of Taizu and Taizong. Even if your ladyship carries the dragon's seed, the new emperor will never let your son inherit the throne. Consort Taizhen and Yang Zhao are both shaken. Wang Sung's words sound wild at first, but every syllable matches her deepest hidden fear, as if she herself is speaking through his mouth. Yang Zhao, who initially stood with his sister, now turns to urge her to consider it seriously. Consort Taizhen worries about angering the sacred emperor and asks point-blank, what is to be gained from helping Li Hung? Wang Sung answers, among all the princes out there, Only His Fifth Highness is exactly like her, clean, with no faction, no backing whatsoever. If Li Heng takes the throne, he will certainly remember the favor, and her position will grow even more secure. Consort Taizhen smiles, her voice laced with faint regret. The inner court must not interfere in politics. That is the old rule. But she entered the palace too late. She can hardly bear a child to change her own fate. Then she asks outright, "Is the one behind Li Heng that mysterious expert?" Wang Sung answers simply, "Yes." She laughs thinly, guessing even the matter of his clan standing against his own eldest uncle. Wang Sung thinks to himself, anyone who dismisses the most beautiful woman in Great Tang as a mere flower vase is truly a fool. Wang Sung lays his stance bare. He supports the fifth prince, not the first prince, directly opposing his eldest uncle Wang Zhen. Then he reveals the core secret. Li Heng is cultivating the five-clawed true dragon, an imperial ultimate technique personally transmitted by the sacred emperor. The implication is singular. That is the true son of heaven. He hands her a letter bearing only a single line of classical wisdom. Those who serve through beauty. When beauty fades, love wanes. When love wanes, favor ends. Then he recounts the tale of Lady Huayang adopting Qin Yiren as her son, paving the way for Yingzhang to ascend the throne in time. Support the right person, and your position will endure, independent of a face both young and old. After reading it, Consort Taizhen sets the letter ablaze. Her demeanor changes completely. She immediately orders a jade pendant delivered to Li Heng, openly declaring that she will protect him within the palace. Yang Zhao watches the entire exchange, silently awed by Wang Sung's maneuvering. Before the boy leaves, she utters only one line. "Wang Sung, I hope I have not misjudged you." Leaving Yuzhen Palace, a notification flashes through Wang Sung's mind. 15 destiny points added. In a single day, he has gained a total of 30 points. His accumulated reserve now stands at 99, while his lifetime total has surpassed 200. His face lights up. For the first time, he has enough points to claim a reward from the primordial chi category. Meeting up with Old Eagle, the two ride back to Zigua Court. Yet one question still lingers in Wang Sung's mind. How is Dusong Mangbuji faring now? Out there, in the dead of night, Dusong Mangbuji leads his Wusi Tibetan cavalry in a mad dash back toward the plateau. Ever since his identity was stripped bare at the training ground, he has not even dared stop at the relay inn. He has fled straight from the capital. The distance has already surpassed 60 li. He growls at his men. Great Tang is no longer safe. Only by returning to the plateau can we truly escape. Just as he and the first prince plot to split up and flee, a white-clad figure suddenly appears on the road. His aura, like crashing mountains and roaring seas, sends the entire herd of war horses into a panicked frenzy. The figure gives a slight bow, refined, as if holding a feather fan and silk kerchief. His face is handsome as jade, yet deep wrinkles line the corners of his eyes. A man who looks merely 40 but is in truth past 50 or 60. He gives only his surname, Li. Then he turns to Dusong Mangbuji. 10 years ago, when the great general traveled in disguise, this Li arrived in too great a hurry and failed to receive you properly. Dusong Mangbuji freezes. It's you. Recognizing the man's identity, he immediately begs mercy for his remaining soldiers. The man nods in agreement. Everyone scatters and flees in the blink of an eye. Only the two remain, facing each other. The ensuing battle erupts with such ferocity that every tree within a 10 li radius is flattened clean. 2 days later, word reaches Wang Sung. The first prince of Wusi Tibet escaped, but Dusong Mangbuji was gravely wounded. In the short term, he no longer poses enough of a threat to Great Tang's borders. Wang Sung turns his focus to the scripture pavilion plan. To build a scripture vault right at Zigua Court, transcribing every cultivation technique in his memory for long-term preservation. He discovers that Li Zai has already gone down into the vault on his own to read the texts. He thinks to himself, with him standing guard, the scripture vault is essentially free of future worries. Isn't that even better? Wang Sung directly appoints Li Zai as the vault keeper, disregarding Old Eagle's lingering caution. Old Eagle objects. The young master has already let Li Zai read every text in the scripture vault, and even enlisted his help to retrieve the Hyderabad, or hasn't he repaid the favor enough already? But in his heart, Wang Sung thinks very differently. He only fears Li Zai hasn't read enough. He doesn't fear the man reading too much. He reassures him, "Old Eagle, rest easy. I've already calculated everything regarding Li Zai. He won't let us suffer any losses." Old Eagle finally chooses to trust him and quietly departs. The system displays 3 options: a 10-point Yuan Qi pill, a 15-point steel Qi sharpness, and a 45-point steel Qi penetration, capable of piercing defenses and neutralizing cultivation gaps of up to 3 levels. Wang Sung does not hesitate, spending the full 45 points to acquire steel Qi penetration. If his steel Qi was once just a quiet stream, it has now turned into a raging current. Yet on the surface, it remains as placid as if nothing has changed at all. At Zigua Court, Wang Sung clearly feels the steel Qi within his body has transformed. Steel Qi penetration is complete. It spirals into a helix, its piercing power surging. He taps a single finger. The spiraling steel Qi punches straight through a solid red sandalwood desk and pierces into the floor below. After repeated trials, the activation rate sits at only about 5%, but it is already lethal even to a 5th-level Jinwu master. Heavy snow falls, each flake as large as a goose feather, blanketing the world in white. Wang Sung murmurs in reflection. It has already been over a year since he awoke in this body, carrying the memories of an entire past life. A guard runs in with joyous news. The young master's cousin is back. He has returned from overseas. The advance letter has already reached us. True to the code the 2 cousins agreed upon, a black mark on the corner of the letter means success. Wang Liang has found the sky iron wrought iron and has truly succeeded. The snow-covered, usually quiet docks are now packed tight with people. After more than half a year tossed at sea, Wang Liang's fleet finally makes port. The entire crew pours off the ships, cheering to the heavens. "We're finally back." Wang Sung gallops up, a large golden falcon perched on his shoulder. Seeing his cousin, he rushes forward and embraces him tightly. Over a dozen bronze chests brimming with gold sit ready. The lids thrown open, golden light blinding an entire corner of the docks as the crew roars in celebration. In a warm tavern, Wang Liang chews on a piping hot piece of beef and reports his success. "Cousin, fortunately I did not fail my mission. Everything you needed, I have brought back in full." Wang Sung waves his hand. "You've worked hard, cousin. Leave the rest to others. Rest up first, we'll talk slowly." Hearing his cousin recount the journey at sea, including guards of the Wang family, personally dispatched by Wang Sung himself for protection, turning coat and betraying them mid-voyage, Wang Sung finally grasps everything Wang Liang has borne on his shoulders alone. The sea can turn the best of men into the vilest of scoundrels, just as it can turn the most useless of men into someone extraordinarily strong. And as for the true identity of the man surnamed Li, the one who just brought down a great Wusi Tibetan general, it still hangs in the air unsolved. Next episode, will that secret finally be unveiled? A torrent of pitch-black Qi surged atop the snow-draped peak. Wang Sung sat cross-legged amid the blizzard, having just survived his 3rd world folding. He broke straight through to the 3rd level of Jinwu. Hours earlier, inside a warm tavern amid the snowstorm, he sat with his cousin Wang Liang, who had just returned safely from a life-or-death voyage to find the heaven-fallen meteoric iron. Wang Liang recounted the perilous journey, then suddenly lowered his voice. "The heaven-fallen meteoric iron. Word of it has already leaked. Did you handle it?" he asked. Wang Liang answered curtly, his voice ice-cold. "From the island back to the mainland, it's a long journey after all." One short sentence. The rest needed no words. He realized his cousin had fully matured, far steadier and more resolute than before. Wang Liang asked the true purpose of the meteoric ore. He merely smiled. "In time you will know." Then he vanished into the thick curtain of snow. Atop the mountain, the system's notifications came rapid fire. 40 destiny points spent, 24 remaining. The next world folding, 9 months away, required a full 60. Descending the mountain and returning to Zigua Court, he had a letter of introduction from the Ministry of War ready, planning to send Li Zai off to the Anshi Protectorate the very next day. But the old general blocked him in the courtyard, listing every piece of evidence. 1,000 caddies of Hyderabad ore, enough meteoric iron to forge armor for thousands, over 100 volumes of secret martial arts manuals, plus this entire Zigua court. Ulterior motives, a heart that is not righteous. The old man roared. If you truly intend to rebel, I will be the first to kill you." He froze. Never did he expect this trusted general to harbor such deep suspicion. It turned out all those sleepless nights stemmed from one silent, gnawing fear. He burst into loud laughter, dissolving the tension instantly. "Ha ha ha! You thought I was planning to rebel? The greatest threat to the Empire's future does not lie in the western regions." A bolt of sword chi flashed from his fingertips, slashing straight across the sprawling map. The blade of chi stopped at a single point, the southwest. "Right here," he said crisply, withdrawing the chi as gently as if it had never appeared. "Since the memories of a past life returned to me, it has been exactly 1 year." He began his explanation. Zhangzhou Jianxiong had already been transferred to the capital. Xianyu Zhongtong had just taken command of the Annan Protectorate. Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Tibet were secretly plotting an alliance. If the two nations joined forces and pinned down the Longxi army, the consequences would be catastrophic for the entire empire. He warned. The southwest had been at peace for too long. The people were complacent. The army was slack. Nearly 10 million commoners would be dragged into war, and an entire region would be reduced to a wasteland of fire. Then he wagered everything. Within 1 year, war will erupt in the southwest. If I am wrong, I will surrender all the ore and the heaven-fallen meteoric iron directly to the imperial court. The old general asked again, half believing. He laughed aloud. Of course it is the truth. The coming year will be the most turbulent year the empire has ever seen. Faced with that vow, Li Zai harbored no further doubts. The old general clasped his hands, his voice resonant. "I am willing to serve the House of Wang for the next few years." One sentence, and the suspicion that had hung suspended for so long was laid to rest. On a spring morning, he trained atop the roof of Zigua Court, his shadow phantom steps as light as a feather. Gongwu Lingxiang brought tea, relaying well wishes and warm clothes sent by his mother. He handed her a slim volume. "This is the latest inner manual of the Phantom Soul Steps. Take it, a small reward for a silent, unwavering loyalty." Old Eagle reported. Lone Wolf remained stable. He ordered 2 intelligence channels opened, hawks carrying messages in the sky, couriers relaying intel on the ground. The delay for Southwest news was cut from months to 20 days. He wrote letters to his father and eldest brother, instructing them to prepare for a catastrophe that could strike at any moment. 2 golden eagles soared into the sky, carrying the messages far away. Watching the 2 birds fade into the distance, he breathed a sigh of relief. Planning to visit Prince Song to discuss the southwest. He leaped straight from the rooftop to the ground, landing amid resounding cheers. But right there in the courtyard, Suiqin was already waiting, still disguised as a man under the name Su Chong, publicly challenging him to a game of Go before the gathered crowd. He refused outright. She had lost 3 games in a row and no longer qualified to challenge him. Unconvinced, she raised the stakes. "If you beat me one more time, I will leave Zigua Court immediately." He raised the stakes right back. If she lost, she must accept one condition from him. Gongwu Lingxiang volunteered to play in his stead, but he waved her off. She was no match for this opponent. Princess Ninghuang appeared, publicly taking Suiqin's side, solely to suppress his prestige. Suiqin raised her head high. 3 days apart, one must look with new eyes. Then she ground out each word. "Wang Sung. Come, this time, I will absolutely make you pay for your arrogance." The Go Pavilion was packed with spectators. Nearly half of Zigua Court had poured in. Suiqin asked to play first. He nodded without hesitation. His opening move set up a seemingly flawless offensive formation. But she countered with the exact 5th move she had pre-calculated, shattering his formation to pieces. "Humph, with that much free time, worry about yourself first." She laughed coldly. 3 days apart, one must look with new eyes. If you think I only know how to copy your style of play, then you are sorely, sorely mistaken. Her eyes gleamed with triumph, the mockery in them impossible to hide. The 3 humiliations he had inflicted upon her, she had never forgotten. For months, she pored over every page of the Go manual he had written, studying every game he played. The game clashed like 2 of the sharpest blades. She captured 3 of his stones in a row, seizing complete control of the board. At the 40th move, She placed a masterful stone at the edge of the board, cleaving both of his massive dragon formations completely in half. His expression changed instantly. Wang Sung, it's your turn, her voice urged, mid-game, tense as a bowstring. A flash of insight suddenly struck him. He looked across at the talented Miss Su, his eyes changing completely. At his level of mastery, a move that could even register in his eyes was exceedingly rare. But this move from Sui Qin had undoubtedly reached that caliber. She fused the Su family's mastery of logistics with the art of war, creating a style of play no one had ever seen. One black stone, one clean strike severing his supply lines, splitting his main force from his rear. The same strike repeated at moves 58, 72, 85, 96, widening her advantage step by step. The final stone clacked down like a closing bell. This move of yours is truly formidable, he acknowledged, his composure intact. But these tricks alone, I fear they are still not enough to defeat me. Amid the gasps of shock across the courtyard, Sui Qin tore off her hair bun and shed her outer robe, revealing a flowing dress of pale yellow like crescent moonlight. She had never been a man. That beauty made one want to draw near, to submit before her. But there was a truth no one anticipated. He had known her true identity for a very long time. He knew full well she was a woman, long before this stunning revelation. Wang Sung, the game is decided. With so many people watching, you're not planning to go back on your word, are you? She pressed, certain that victory was already in her grasp. He calmly reminded her of the rules. She had played first, so the game could only truly end when his final white stone was placed. He drew the last white stone from the go bowl. He placed it on a single position no one anticipated. All the scattered, seemingly dismantled white stones suddenly snapped together into a death trap, surrounding every last one of her black stones. Before the gasps of astonishment had even died down, he spoke exactly one line. Sui Qin, you have lost. Old Eagle and the bodyguard standing nearby had never doubted his ability, but the sheer brilliance of this game still far surpassed anything they could have imagined. The match was settled, but the biggest question still hung in the air. What condition would he demand of Sui Qin? The next episode will reveal the answer. Black and white stones lay scattered across the board, the match just decided. Sui Qin grits her teeth and throws out a bitter parting shot. Wang Sung, you've won nothing but a single game. The day will come when you lose by my hand. Wang Sung recalls the old wager, then announces his true terms. Not gold or silver, not honor. I have only one condition, and it is simple. I need 10 years of your time. For those 10 years, I want you to work entirely for me, at my command. Sui Qin's face darkens. She assumes he had known her female identity all along. You knew who I was from the start, didn't you? You bastard. You deliberately schemed against me. Wang Sung replies coolly. The match was fair, he won on true skill, not deception. Before so many witnesses, honor permits no denial. Sui Qin reluctantly nods, conceding defeat, but with a cold warning. Do not demand anything excessive. The instant he crosses the threshold of the Go Academy, an invisible notification surges through Wang Sung's mind. Successfully recruiting Sui Qin, altering future destiny. Plus 15 destiny points. Running total. Now 39. He departs alongside Old Eagle, satisfied and relieved, a vital strategic piece now in his grasp. But he has no idea that this triumph will last only one more moment. Atop the star observation platform in the palace, an old man's face drains of color. His hands tremble at what he sees. A baleful star plunging westward. He stammers his urgent report. An omen star falls in the west. A portent of ultimate calamity. Great Tang is undergoing upheaval. The alarm spreads. In less than 1 mark, Wang Sung mobilizes every loyal operative. Huang Tianji, still mid-banquet at the Huang family estate, shoves the table aside and springs to his feet. I've eaten my fill. Carry on without me. Iron Hand, in the middle of another mission, receives the urgent dispatch and immediately wheels his horse around. Gongwu Lingxiang, Wei and Fanggu, Old Eagle, Zhao Jingdian, Sun Jiming all set out at once. Not one delays by half a mark. Through the torrential rain, Wang Sung gallops straight ahead. The face of his sworn enemy from a past life burns crystal clear in his mind. the one who once brought Great Tang to total annihilation, who piled mountains of corpses and seas of blood across all of Shenzhou. He grinds out an oath through the downpour. An Lushan, I will kill you. Hooves kick up sprays of mud. He plunges forward, without a single instant's hesitation. Wang Sung dons the abyssal iron heavy armor. In Ho has no idea what is happening, yet trusts him unconditionally. I trust you. Old Eagle confirms the intelligence. The target is at Drunken Sparrow Tavern, on Long Sparrow Street. 3 forces converge at Vermilion Sparrow Avenue, Wang family guards, guards under his uncle Wang Zhen, and elite experts from the great houses. In Ho asks in confusion, Wang Sung, what in the world is going on? The boy does not answer. He issues a single crisp command. Surround this place. Not a single one escapes. Through wind and rain, the soldiers swarm in and seal off the tavern. Wang Sung kicks the doors open and charges in at the very front. Screams of panic erupt from within. No one expected that tonight, a hunt of apocalyptic importance had just begun, right in the heart of the imperial capital. Wang Sung issues one cold command. Kill them all. Disciplined veterans of the battlefield flood the first floor, ending the merchants and martial artists in the blink of an eye. On the second floor, the atmosphere shifts completely. Disciplined, armored soldiers surround 3 leaders. One of them, a refined, middle-aged man of elegant bearing, is later revealed to be An Lushan. Wang Sung's gaze locks onto a single face. He grinds out every syllable. Found you at last. In his mind, one name rings without end, An Lushan. Whether this life calls him An Lushan or whatever surname he takes next, this life, the last, or through 1,000 cycles of reincarnation, I will never forget that face. At that very moment, a notification slams into Wang Sung's mind. He has encountered his enemy of destiny far earlier than expected. A reward of 400 destiny points, added instantly. His total skyrockets from 39 to 439. But at the same moment, he senses an entirely new danger, one originating from the very system that granted the reward. And An Lushan stands unfazed. He rallies his subordinates to keep fighting. We've already taught them one lesson. What's one more slaughter? He arrogantly declares that even beneath the emperor's feet, the 4 generals and 2 protector generals of the An family have never met a problem they could not handle. And An Lushan suddenly senses something wrong. Thousands of arrows tear through the tavern walls from every direction, cutting down more than half his warriors in a single breath. A silhouette smashes through an entire wall, charging on horseback straight into the chaos. Li Zivai, swinging a massive Wusi steel greatsword, cleaves an entire corner of the building to rubble. And An Lushan's eyes go wide with horror. He chokes out, a profound martial realm expert. He has just realized his opponents did not merely bring a squad of elite fighters. They brought a powerhouse of legendary caliber. And An Lushan lunges toward a warhorse. Li Zivai, Old Eagle, and Archer La Tong unleash a relentless barrage. But he rolls through the rain, dodging every arrow as if he can sense them even with his back turned. Shouts ring out through the storm. Running? Think you can escape? Run? Quick! Old Eagle! Kill him! La Tong narrows his eyes, his voice equal parts admiration and unease. Only one kind of person can do that. A master marksman, and one who is no lesser than him. Wang Sung personally gives chase through the downpour. He launches a leaping dragon strike from midair, aimed straight down at An Lushan, a blow that seems impossible to dodge. But an invisible force abruptly halts the strike in midair. Both attacker and target freeze in equal shock. A cold notification echoes through his mind. Due to the host's actions, the enemy of destiny is now under this world's protection. His survival probability rises, and correspondingly, so does the host's probability of failure. Wang Sung wrenches the reins tight and roars in defiance. So the world intervenes. What of it? Even if the entire world shields you, I will still see you dead. An Lushan manages to vault onto a Fergana horse and gallops off through the rain. He is a warrior under 20 years of age, eagle eyes, a high-bridged nose, a broad square jaw, and a thick bristling beard. He has no idea why he is being hunted to the death. An Lushan races through the rain, his mind churning. What in the world is this about? He only remembers the old brawl at Drunken Sparrow Tavern, but it was his sworn brother An Lushan who struck first, not him. He plunges into a block of row houses in the west of the city, thinking he has found an escape route. Behind him, the relentless threat still pursues. No matter how far you run, you will not escape this capital. But when Wang Sung arrives at the spot, he halts in shock at the scene before him. 60 to 70 elite Yuzhou soldiers lying in wait, all clad in heavy armor bearing the insignia of the Anong Protectorate. Each and every one of them has reached the true martial realm. Yuzhou elite troops. He recognizes it at once, and Lushan was never alone. Behind him stands an entire regular army that has secretly turned traitor. In the rain, memories of his grandfather, 9th Duke Wang Juling, the man who once commanded the reverence of the entire realm, come flooding back. A silent question echoes through his mind. Is heaven lending its hand, offering me a chance to fulfill my mission? Li Zivai smashes through a wall and charges in on horseback to join the fight. Over 2 meters tall, he looms like a titan in the rain, his massive Wusi steel greatsword still dripping water. Another young Hu leader, seeing his side driven to the brink, urges immediate action. To kill the man, first shoot the horse. To catch the bandits, first catch their king. His name is Ashina Sugan. The memories of the past life surge into Wang Sung's mind once more, clearer than ever before. Right now his name is Ashina Sugan, but in the future, he will bear a Han name that shakes all of Shenzhou, infamous throughout history, Shi Siming. Wang Sung's reinforcements arrive in full force through the rain-drenched streets, Yin Ho, by Xiling, Zhao Hongying, Su Qian, Fang Shenying, and even Su Qin, alongside over a dozen surviving elite fighters of the Long Ma Gang. A colossal black eagle circles above the entire column. As the two sides tighten their formations for a standoff, a stranger glides past Wang Sung without ever turning his head. That man, Su Hanshan, utters exactly one sentence, then plants himself squarely in front of the boy. I owe you, and I will most certainly pay you back. Wang Sung freezes. That debt is something he has never once heard of. Both sides hold their ground in the unrelenting rain. No one has struck yet. Next episode. What is the mysterious debt Su Hanshan owes? And which way will this destined confrontation fall? Lightning tore open the pitch-black curtain of rain, illuminating the moment when a full year of pent-up killing intent was about to erupt into blood. Wang Sung stood in the heart of the storm, his lips barely moving in gratitude toward the reinforcements that had silently arrived. Not a single sound escaped. The timing was ripe. He drew his sword and roared the order for a full assault. Strike! Slaughter them all! Li Zai charged first, a single sword stroke cleaving the rain curtain in two, but was immediately blocked by 2 unfamiliar figures. Wang Sung bellowed 2 names he had just recognized. Cui Qianyu, Tian Qianzhen. He instantly deployed Zhao Jingdian to form the Fengshe formation, clashing head-on with the Xuanwu formation of the Tian clan. Only one thought remained in his mind. They all deserve to die. They all must be killed. Iron aura armor sheathed his entire body. Wang Sung unleashed one-step chain kill and spurred his horse straight into the encirclement. Ashina Zhuochuan instantly recognized the armor on him. Abyss C Xiantai heavy armor. He roared. How dare you attack the Anong Protectorate headquarters? Kill that boy for me. Another archer, Luo Tong, stood at a distance, bow drawn. Before his body even arrived, arrows were already thunking into targets, intercepting nearly half the arrows aimed at Wang Sung. Meanwhile, reinforcements smashed through the walls and poured in from all 4 sides. The Zhang family's soldiers, the Huang family's men, and the old subordinates of Wang Sung's grandfather. An Lushan spun in panic amid the chaos, screaming, Cui Qianyu, Tian Qianzhen, save me! At that precise moment, an eerie aura descended from the north and dropped exactly 2 words. Light as breath, yet crushing the entire battlefield. Stop. A streak of golden light flashed, blasting away simultaneously 3 top-tier Xuanwu masters closing in on An Lushan, Li Zai, Lord Yi, Elder Zhao. A figure plummeted from the sky, golden aura swirling around his body. Wang Sung was horrified. It was Zhang Shogui, the Grand Protector of Anong. He suddenly understood, or rather thought he understood, and Lushan had not acted alone. He was merely Zhang Shogui's attendant. The appointment of Zhangqiu Jiankui, a military man, as Minister of War had struck right at his long-buried ambition. He too wanted to vie for chancellor, to eclipse even Gao Xianji and Fuming Lingcha. A single bellow from him was enough to freeze the entire field. No one, not even Wang Sung, dared to move. Wang Sung pursued into a deserted courtyard, only a hair's breadth from bringing down An Lushan. But the man suddenly spun and threw himself prostrate at Zhang Shogui's feet, howling two words that shook the entire field. Not my lord, not great commander, but foster father. A 20-year-old grudge instantly flooded Zhang Shogui's mind. It was the old man of the Wang family who had once blocked his path to chancellor, exiling him to guard the dreary frontier. He growled each word. Boy, what is it you Wangs want? Are you declaring war on me? Wang Sung immediately steered the suspicion toward the suspicious affair at Zuiju Tavern. An Lushan frantically prostrated himself and pleaded. Foster father, it's a grave injustice. I swear, besides drinking wine, I did nothing else. Zhang Shogui interrogated him on the spot, his voice ice-cold. No one deceives me. In the Anong Protectorate, anyone who dares lie to the Grand Protector is already a dead man. Wang Sung did not flinch before that surging killing intent. He laughed aloud and dropped 4 words before the crowd desperately trying to stop him. A stubborn peasant's blunder, obstinate, always convinced he is right. The ultimate taboo had just been touched. But Wang Sung did not stop. The more brilliant this man was, the better he commanded armies, the heavier the consequences of nurturing An Lushan would become. He sealed it with a single sentence. I only wish to tell your excellency one thing. Even a peasant makes mistakes sometimes. The composure on Zhang Shogui's face vanished. He snarled, Boy, you are insolent beyond measure. His sleeves billowed, 5 fingers lightly pinching together. An invisible long-range burst of aura snapped out, yanking Wang Sung bodily into midair. Lord Yi and Elder Zhao lunged in just in time, wrenching him free from the aura's grip before it was too late. Li Zai drew his blade to save his master, but a single palm strike from Zhang Shogui shattered the blade aura and sent both man and weapon flying backward. Zhang Shogui turned and clawed again. Wang Sung swiftly cast Brocade Carp riding the wave, his body undulating along the current of aura like a carp following the swell, then abruptly darting beyond the claw's reach. He still roared orders mid-air. Kill An Lushan at all costs, regardless of the price. A massive explosion tore through the air. Wang Sung ordered another strike on An Lushan, but shielded directly by Zhang Shogui. The blow had no way to pierce through. Following his prearranged signal, Old Eagle silently peeled away from the chaos, locking onto a more accessible target. Ashina's Wusi-Zang. A flash strike assassination. Ashina's Wusi-Zang crumpled, not even comprehending what had just happened. Zhang Shogui roared in fury. Anyone else who dares strike, I will exile his entire clan to Goguryeo. But it was too late. In Wang Sung's mind, a notification chimed. Congratulations, signer. Major alteration to historical fact detected. Reward, 200 destiny points. The future rebel power couple of the Empire's northeast was now reduced to An Lushan alone. Zhang Shogui turned, killing intent brimming, ready to obliterate Wang Sung's entire group on the spot. An unfamiliar old steward suddenly appeared, blocking his path. He bowed slightly. This humble servant obeys the command of His Highness Prince Song, and invites the Grand Protector to the manor for tea. Zhang Shogui was about to brush the invitation aside. But at that exact moment, another voice rang out from the void. A single sentence that drained the color from his face. Is Zhang Yuanbao still brooding over the old days? He froze, blurting out the name that silenced the entire field. Wang Juling. Zhang Shogui's power and authority now rivaled that former chancellor once hailed as a luminous minister. Yet a mere word from him was enough to make a sitting Grand Protector falter. Before withdrawing, Wang Sung turned back, bowed deeply, and thanked Zhang Shogui for saving his life during the Jidushi incident years ago. He added, his voice calm. The sacred emperor is sagacious, seeing through all things. Though the capital is far, his light reaches everywhere. The Grand Protector would do well to hold reverence in his heart. Then he lowered his voice, his gaze cutting straight toward An Lushan. There are times when your true enemy may not stand across from you, but rather, right beside you. Zhang Shogui gave a cold sneer and turned to leave. Wang Sung immediately led his men and withdrew, vanishing before the Imperial Guard unit protecting the capital descended on the scene. News of the clash spread like wildfire through every noble house and powerful clan in the capital that very night. Amid the rain, An Lushan could no longer hold back, demanding through gritted teeth of his foster father. "Why didn't you kill that boy?" A blazing slap hurled him many zhang away, coughing blood as he crumpled prostrate in a puddle of rainwater. Zhang Shogui coldly warned him not to forget his place, then walked away, leaving An Lushan to nurse a smoldering grudge in his heart. That same night, Yao Guangyi sought out his father, Yao Chong, for counsel. The old man judged immediately. This was Wang Sung's act alone, not Wang Jiling's will. He told his son to stay out of it, but to quietly investigate the identity of that Hu man. Go look into that Hu man. Later on, he may prove useful. A seed of treachery had just been sown. No one imagined it would grow into a catastrophe of terrifying proportions. Next episode. Where will An Lushan go, now that all three powers have set their eyes on him? A blade flashes across the Zuiju Tavern, aimed straight at a young Hu man's throat. It misses by a hair. The identical story spreads through every corner of the capital. The entire court holds its breath. That Wang boy just dared to wield a knife and kill in broad daylight. At Prince Qi's estate, a roar of laughter erupts. Well done. This time, Lord Wang has truly dug his own grave. The arrest order is issued instantly. At Sifang Pavilion, he kneels straight before his grandfather. His eldest uncle, Wang Zhen, demands in a low voice, "Sunger, what in the world is all this about?" A bone-chilling warning screams through his mind. One slip of the tongue means instant death. He looks up and says exactly one thing, "An Lushan. That Hu man must die. Otherwise, the entire empire will face a great catastrophe." The assassination has failed. He swallows down his disappointment, while his eldest uncle and uncle-in-law Li Lin refuse to stop pressing for answers. The ninth duke suddenly rises to his feet. This is about a fortune teller, isn't it? The whole family exhales in relief, even though it's a fabricated excuse he just made up on the spot. He nods in confirmation but adamantly refuses to name the person. The ninth duke waves his hand. "For now on, whatever you need me to do, just say the word." Late that night, his grandmother brings in cooled tea. He confesses to her. The fortune teller excuse was just something he made up to brush them off. But both of them understand. The boy is carrying a burden of suffering he cannot put into words. Before heading up the mountain, he stops by to visit Wang Liang, his cousin who is still recovering from injuries. He only manages a quick nod in greeting before hurrying on. At the summit of Ziguiwen, the entire mountain stronghold is restless. In Ho speaks up first, calling him out by name in front of the crowd. "I can't say too much," he looks around at them all, "but one thing is certain. After today, none of you will regret this." Bai Siling nods slightly. "I still don't understand why, but those words are enough. I trust you." Zhao Yadian follows. "Whatever you decide to do, I will always stand by your side." He stands alone at the cliff's edge, looking down at the rows of allies behind him. A force that is truly his own, trading on no one else's name, is taking shape. That night, one by one, they slip away from the stronghold. No one says a word of farewell. Olding arrives, his voice heavy. The Imperial Guards, the Grand Court, even the Imperial Palace have all mobilized. The Court of State Ceremonial will likely get here faster than anyone. He clasps his hands behind his back and replies bluntly, "Whether it's the Grand Court or the Court of State Ceremonial, do not stop them." As dawn breaks, a giant bird of prey plummets from the southwest and lands on the mountain peak. The Eagle King, the most ferocious raptor of the Gobi Desert. It is released only in times of extreme danger. At that exact moment, a disembodied voice echoes in his mind. His destiny value has exceeded 400. The fate trial mission officially begins. Before his eyes, a streak of blood-red light suddenly flares. The destiny stone projects a horrifying vision. The southwest frontier collapses, blood-red light shoots into the heavens, and the entire region is swallowed by a raging sea of fire. A cold warning echoes through his mind. When the southwest falls, an empire that has endured for over 300 years will breathe its final breath. At the same time, A falcon message arrives from Lone Wolf. He opens it, reads it, and his face instantly changes. Luo Feng's wife and children are slaughtered. Zhang Qianda's son is also killed right in the estate, besieged by a band of immensely powerful, mysterious black-clad figures. Lone Wolf personally risks his life charging into the inferno, saving Zhang Qianda, but sustains severe injuries himself. He mutters to himself, unable to fathom why this is happening right now. The assassination of An Lushan has just failed, and the Nanzhao War erupts half a year early. Atop Ziguiwen, he searches for an escape route, but the combined forces of the Court of State Ceremonial, the Imperial Guards, and the Grand Court have sealed off all four sides. A white-robed official from the Court of State Ceremonial steps forward, his voice ice-cold. "Young Master Wang, please come along. You won't escape." 6 profound realm masters tighten the encirclement, leaving not a single gap to slip through. Terrible news arrives right after. The 4th sworn brother of the Clan's 4 siblings turns out to be An Lushan, the Deputy Protector General of Anbei, exceptionally young for his rank. He has offended Zhang Shogui and An Lushan simultaneously. Yet in the eye of this political storm, the entire Wang clan maintains an eerie restraint. 6 days pass before Old Ing is finally allowed into the 3-party managed cell to see him. His skin is pale, his body wasting away. But the prison floor is covered in papers, dense with writing. His spirit hasn't dimmed at all. Old Ing reports that the tunnel to rescue Lone Wolf is finished. But the thing weighing on his mind more than his own freedom is the truth behind the border city incident. Most of the Imperial Guards are secretly on his side, simply because they once spent money to buy his Woot's steel swords. He issues a decisive order. At all costs, his eldest uncle must be allowed in for a visit. And before seeing him, neither his eldest uncle nor His Highness Prince Song may make any public statements whatsoever. Then he drops a line that leaves Old Ing utterly stunned. "Sell off all the spirit veins, in the shortest time possible. I am not crazy. War is never just about weapons and slaughter, it is an economic war." Old Ing liquidates all assets and rushes them to the Zhang family, orders the immediate production of Woot steel swords, and throws heaven's foreign meteoric iron into the forging furnace right away. In the cell, the dirt floor is covered in etched lines, a complete map of the southwest frontier. 300,000 troops from Mongshe-Zhao, over 200,000 from Wusi-Zang. Still not enough. News of the spirit vein auction sweeps through the capital. The imperial family thinks he has lost his mind. The Su family is thrilled and wants to swallow it all. The Chung family scrapes together every penny. The Yao family hesitates, probing for his true intent, and Prince Qi decides to put down money as well. In a remote, deserted alley, Old Ing opens the bidding. Lot number 1 on the spirit vein, enough for 5 people to cultivate. Starting price, 30,000 taels of gold. The price skyrockets in waves. 60,000, 110,000, 180,000, then 230,000 taels of gold. The entire alley shakes with the wealthy frenzy of the capital's great noble houses. Zhang Xinchu, the white-robed official of the Court of State Ceremonial, tracks him down to the prison. He demands through gritted teeth, "Wang Sung, what in the world are you plotting?" He fires back without yielding an inch. Shouldn't Lord Zhang be busy helping the Hu people suppress the Han? The official is struck dumb for a moment, then threatens to let him rot at the bottom of this prison. The official report finally reaches the court. Taiching has been virtually leveled, but the memorial explicitly states that Prefect Zhang Qianda committed suicide. Zhang Qiu, the newly appointed Minister of War, slams his fist on the desk and roars right in Xinyu Zhongtong's face. "How are you running the Anan Protectorate that a catastrophe like this could happen?" The war faction, led by Wu Zhengpeng, demands an immediate march for vengeance. Lord Feng, who heads the peace faction, warns, "Nanzhao has been peaceful for years. A sudden rebellion like this. There must be more to it." The court officials argue to a stalemate, then suddenly remember the Wang family, connected by blood to Prince Qi, and thus tacitly lumped in with the war faction. And the one person who foresaw this entire catastrophe remains nothing more than an afterthought, sitting in a prison cell. Next episode. Will Wang Sung get out of prison in time to speak for himself? In a pitch-black cell without a single ray of light, a prince who once made the entire capital tremble kneels collapsed on the cold stone floor, hands clasped and trembling before his very own elder uncle. Half a month earlier, amid a grand hall packed wall-to-wall with officials, a sudden question slammed straight into Wang Zhen. What was his stance on the Southwest War? By all tradition, as the pillar of the Hawk faction for years, he should have immediately demanded war. But his nephew's warning still rang in his ears. He chose silence, frozen in the midst of the entire court. The sacred emperor abruptly cut the debate short and dismissed the court on the spot. Wang Zhen rushed from the hall, heading straight for the imperial prison. He found his nephew haggard and wasted, and quickly reassured him. Prince Song would step in to rescue him. But Wang Sung shook his head. What he feared for was not himself, but the entire shifting landscape of the imperial court. Wang Zhen delivered worse news. The voices clamoring for war now echoed from every quarter. Even the Dove faction was changing its tune. Then, right there in that cell, Wang Sung dropped to his knees before him. When the moment of final decision comes, I beg you, uncle. By any means necessary, you and Prince Song must oppose this war. Wang Zhen was shaken. Doing so would shatter the prestige the Wang clan had built over decades. Wang Sung answered, his voice laced with agony. Uncle, if we do not oppose it, then the true catastrophe will be upon us. Great Tang has stood for over 300 years. Its collapse could come today. Wang Zhen was struck dumb. He had never seen his nephew like this before. Behind bars, Wang Sung pressed on with every argument. If Great Tang lost the Southwest campaign, 180,000 elite troops would be wiped out entirely. 1/3 of the empire's entire military might, enough to make every neighboring power instantly covet their borders. From childhood till now, have I ever deceived you, uncle? The question made Wang Zhen go still, remembering every time his nephew had correctly predicted court affairs in the past. He declared, this is the first time I have ever forsaken public duty for private affairs, and it will be the last. Wang Sung laid out every step. They needed Prince Song to step forward personally, and consort Taizhen to handle Yang Zhao through the back channel. 3 factions combining forces would be enough to overturn the court's resolution. The army dispatched to the southwest must exceed 300,000 to stand against Zheluofeng.
Wang Gen departed.
Zhang Shenzhou of the Court of Diplomatic Reception stepped in, his voice cold. Wang Sung, do you think matters of state can be discussed and then simply walked away from? Wang Sung answered only with a calm gaze. Alone in the darkness, he sat on the stone floor and traced a series of strange symbols. A script that did not belong to this world, one that only Wang Sung himself could read. 10 days later, Wang Zhen returned to the prison, bearing the court's decision. Shenyu Zhongtong was ordered to lead 180,000 elite soldiers of the An Protectorate to depart immediately and strike straight at Mongshe-Zhao. Wang Sung asked why the 3-faction alliance had still failed. The answer sent a chill through his entire body. A prime minister, one named Li Ganu, had unexpectedly switched sides to support the war, pulling Zhangqiu Jianqiong along with him over private calculations for power. Nothing could be salvaged now. Wang Sung could only beg, Uncle, get me out of here. At the An Protectorate, war drums shook heaven and earth. 180,000 soldiers roared in unison. War! Va! Va! Then surged forward in a tidal advance. At the same time, flocks of carrier pigeons fanned out to every nation near and far. This was the first time the Mongshe-Zhao Empire was formally drawn into a major clash between great powers. On the other side of the battle line, Zheluofeng donned the imperial yellow robe, placed the flat celestial crown upon his head, swung his golden sword, and led 340,000 troops toward the An Protectorate. A southwest region peaceful for over a decade now plunged back into the fires of war. On the Wusi Plateau, thousands of blacksmiths toiled day and night without sleep, forging armor and weapons in mountainous piles using the method of 1,000 folds and 100 layers. De Kinruzan received Zheluofeng's 3rd letter pleading for aid, and replied with chilling brevity. What needed to be said, I have already said. If Mongshe-Zhao wants Wusi's support, then bring the gift of allegiance yourselves. To him, this battle was nothing but a testing stone. In prison, every day Wang Sung continued to calculate the war's developments on his own, feeling the crushing pressure bearing down from both the Court of Diplomatic Reception and the Grand Court. Then Prince Song appeared, his face drained of all color. Great Tang has lost. Shenyu Zhongtong has lost. Wang Sung shot to his feet. his mind reeling as though struck full force by a tidal wave. News of the catastrophic defeat swept through the capital in a flash. The Tang army had been annihilated by Jeluofeng's 340,000-strong force, right on the plains of the Sheer River. Prince Song reported on reinforcements. The young general Li Zhengji had been dispatched to lead 60,000 troops. He rose to fame in the military very early. His renown in the army may even surpass your elder brother, Wang Fu. This was the first time Wang Sung had ever heard mention of an elder brother. Wang Sung understood. History was repeating itself. The true enemy had never been Mongshe-Zhao, but Huashu Guizong and a Qinruzhen standing behind the curtain. At that very moment, an ice-cold warning blared in his mind. Within 2 months, if the Southwest Protectorate's army fell below 10,000 men, the mission would be considered a failure.
Instant élimination.
Prince Song agreed to get him out of prison. The iron door burst open with a loud crash, and a flood of light poured in. After more than half a month, Wang Sung finally saw the light of the sun again. Stepping out of the office gates, the capital lay drowning in a gloomy pall cast by the news of defeat. Wang Sung immediately turned to Old Eagle and issued orders. Pass on my 3 commands. Command 1. Immediately dispatch guards to every tea house and tavern in the capital. Recruit every mercenary at the true martial realm or above. Command 2. Buy out the entire 3-month weapon output of the 4 great swordsmith clans, along with every sword shop and weapon pavilion in the capital. Old Eagle reeled at the astronomical sum, but complied without a second's hesitation. Command 3. Tonight, summon Zhao Jingdian, Wei Anfang, Sui Qin, and Huang Tainier to the prince's manor. With that done, Wang Sung invited Prince Song into the carriage. The conversation inside made the older man step back out with an extremely grim expression. Inside the carriage, the boy began writing a flurry of letters. The first went to his father, Wang Yan, and his elder brother Wang Fu, assessing Shenyu Zhongtong's capabilities, along with a strategy to counter the Southwest crisis. Then letter after letter flew outward, to the southwest, the southeast, within and without the capital. An information storm whipped up by him alone while the entire empire still reeled in panic. Old Eagle watched his teenage master hunched over, writing without pause, and thought to himself. This time, he feared everything would once again crash down onto Wang Sung's shoulders alone. On a mountain more than 10 miles from the capital, Wei Xiaoyan was cultivating the Panshan formula when he received a falcon letter bearing just 4 words. Lend me 20 guards. He burst into ringing laughter. Ha ha ha! Wang Sung, you bastard. You've finally come looking for me. Defying the Wei clan's family rules, Wei Xiaoyan broke through on the spot, surging straight from the Yuan Qi stage to the 4th level of the true martial realm, an aura surpassing even Wang Sung's. Done, he left the mountain, making a beeline for the capital. At a tea house in the capital, Bai Siling was brooding when he received the letter. Recognizing the familiar crooked handwriting, he instantly breathed easier. I knew that dungeon could never hold him. Su Qian at the training grounds also received a letter, and immediately guessed that Wang Sung was about to make a major move involving the southwest. He hurled his red-tasseled spear, striking a weapon rack 6 or 7 spans away. 2 old names flashed through Su Qian's mind, Zhang Shogui and Sis Hun, men who had once fought at Wang Sung's side. To follow him was truly to never fear wasting a lifetime. In the carriage, Wang Sung continued writing a barrage of invitations, dispatched to nearly every great and minor clan in the capital, with exactly 2 exceptions, the Yao clan and Prince Qi. At the Duke of Lu's manor, Li Bing asked his father in confusion. Father, what do you think this Wang clan prince is plotting? The Duke of Lu weighed their old grudge, then decided, just send a few men to observe. Perhaps it was an opportunity to forge ties with the Wang clan. At the Duke Su's manor, his son Su Bai flew into a rage over the invitation. The Duke scolded him outright. Insolent! I haven't even gotten to you yet. Speak quickly. What trouble have you caused again lately? Then he analyzed it himself. The fact that Prince Song could release someone so effortlessly meant the Sacred Emperor's hand was surely behind it. In a single afternoon, a barrage of Wang Sung's letters had stirred the entire capital into motion. That night, the 4 summoned men entered the prince's manor for a secret council with Wang Sung. No one knew the contents of the discussion. They only saw that when they departed, every single face was heavy with grim resolve. Alone in his study, Wang Sung sat before a miniature terrain map of the southwest, a closely guarded treasure of the Ministry of War that he had secretly squirreled away long ago. He deduced, the next decisive battle between Shenyu Zhongtong and Zheluofeng would certainly take place on the Arai Plains. His finger stopped at a single point. Lion City. It would be the final refuge for the 80,000 surviving remnants of the army. Then he began an unprecedented war game, erecting the entire battlefield of 700,000 troops inside his own mind, anticipating every move Zheluofeng, Fengjie, and de Qinruzhen would make. To stand as equals against apex strategic minds like those, he understood one truth clearly. He had to know the enemy more intimately than they knew themselves, and he had to see beyond the entirety of their game board. The tiny flags on the terrain map shifted positions ceaselessly, until only 7 or 8 remained. Wang Sung muttered to himself. 80,000 men, infantry and cavalry split in half, with a formation of divine crossbowmen. Even if they run, they cannot escape the Wusi cavalry. He stayed awake the entire night in the study, hunched over, drawing marching maps. When he finally stepped out, his face was deathly pale, his eye sockets deeply shadowed, yet his eyes still blazed with light. He ordered Old Eagle to dispatch 3 scouts to probe 3 locations. Wang Sung asked about the progress of the Spirit Vein auction. Old Eagle reported, 18 billion taels of gold committed, but in reality only 2 billion was pure gold. He decided instantly, throw 1 billion taels onto the market, have the clan guards haul the gold straight to every weapon pavilion and sword shop, demand an answer by day's end. They need more time? Then the price is not yet high enough. Old Eagle watched his young master running at peak frenzy ever since stepping out of prison, and quietly feared one thing. The boy was burning his last drops of oil. As Wang Sung turned back toward his work desk, Old Eagle struck a pressure point on his back without warning, and the boy crumpled into unconsciousness. Young master, forgive me. You truly need to rest. Old Eagle laid him onto the bed, then walked out of the manor alone, bearing the entirety of the burden that remained. 80,000 surviving soldiers, a relief plan, an entire life-or-death race against time. Would it be enough before the Southwest troop count plunged past the threshold of death? The next episode holds the answer. An unprecedented proposal. Borrow the strongest masters of every noble house. In exchange, each man receives 1 divine sword, regardless of success or failure. Wang Sung had barely risen after 2 watches of sleep when he stood amidst the packed Great Hall, declaring those exact words before dozens of stunned gazes. The entire hall fell dead silent. Many among them had no desire to lend their precious Xinwu masters, and Wang Sung spotted it at once. Someone was deliberately steering the crowd toward opposition. He asked for only 24th or 5th level Xinwu masters for 3 months. Before anyone could speak, Wei Hao roared with laughter, cutting down all hesitation. Only 24th and 5th level guards? I'll lend 40. The Yu family representative immediately chimed in with 2 more. The Great Hall's momentum shifted, tilting squarely in Wang Sung's favor. Just as the atmosphere settled, a figure in silver robes separated from the crowd. A noble house's gleaming crest embroidered on his chest, a faint smirk on his lips. This was far from over. Wei Hao glared, recognizing him instantly. Humph, Subai sent you, didn't he? If he dispatched you out here, he can't be far. Wang Sung strode to the center of the hall and reaffirmed his promise. I need you all to lend me your family's strongest guards. In return, each person would receive 1 Wusi steel sword, whether the mission succeeded or failed. By Siling, Su Qian, even the men of Duke Su's household were dumbfounded. Wang Sung, you're mad. Everyone assumed he was plunging into a guaranteed loss. Su Bai unexpectedly stepped forward, insisting Wang Sung could not retract his promise. Honor forbade it. Wei Hao glared. You bastard. Su Bai, it's you. With that, he bellowed and launched himself straight down from the hall above. Su Bai managed one arrogant parting shot. Wei Hao, you think I'm afraid? Challenging me only brings suffering upon yourself. But Wei Hao had now mastered the Panshan. A single blow sent Su Bai flying, crashing into 7 or 8 bystanders. Wang Sung laid it bare. Let me be clear. I have exactly 1,000 Wusi steel weapons, nothing more. Then he turned to Su Bai. As for your Su family, don't bother sending your trusted elites. Su Bai gritted out before retreating. Wang Sung, Don't get too full of yourself. Sooner or later, you'll regret this. That threat stopped nothing. The news of trading swords for men had already spread across the entire capital. Hundreds of thousands of swordsmiths and weapon shops across the city erupted. Noble houses large and small scrambled to dispatch masters to the capital, vying for the ultimate weapon reward. Few realized this was all just the beginning. In another corner of the capital, Wang Sung poured out 400,000 taels of gold, buying outright 3 full months of output from the Tieyu sword tower, authorizing the forge to produce weapons to his exact specifications. The masters borrowed from the noble houses began pouring into Jigua Mountain in waves. Training was entrusted to 3 men, Li Zui, Wei Anfang, and Zhao Jingdian. Alone in silence, Wang Sung drained all 269 accumulated destiny points. Weapon penetration surged from Tier 1 to Tier 4, activation rate leaping from 5% to 20%. For pills later, he officially broke through to 4th level Jinwu. At the Beidou city frontier, the old ballad still echoed. The 7 stars of Beidou hang high. Every night Geshu Han draws his blade to guard the pass. The enemy dares only eye the horse pastures, never daring to cross Lin Tao. But this time, a massive Wusi-Zang army had already advanced onto the plateau. A trident white lion banner whipped in the freezing plateau wind. A voice shrieked in sheer panic. The trident white lion banner. It's by Salu Gonglu. Geshu Han recognized the danger instantly. He roared across the city. All forces, hear my command. Full battle readiness. But the dire news struck before he could even prepare. 180,000 great Tang elite troops under Shenyu Zhongtong were routed. 60,000 reinforcements deployed could not salvage the situation. The news reached the capital swift as wind. Officials scrambled in chaos. Someone gasped. For matters to be this abnormal, there must be demons at work. The entire court plunged into panic. Days earlier, a scout under Li Zhengji had crashed into the capital, body drenched in blood, hands still clutching an arrow as a token, then collapsed unconscious on the spot. The full truth gradually surfaced. The Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Zang allied forces had mobilized several 100,000 troops. Someone snarled through gritted fury. The Wusi-Zang people. This is a declaration of war against Great Tang. Nearly 1 million Southwest civilians suddenly lost all protection. The only army that could reinforce them was tied down elsewhere. Building a new force would take at least 2 months. Zhangqiu Zhenxiong, the newly appointed Minister of War, faced fierce criticism for his hasty decisions that contributed to the disaster. Meanwhile, Prince Song suddenly recalled a name, Wang Sung, and began to suspect the boy had foreseen it all. In a white tent beneath the northern moonlight, a Gokter Kagan roared with elation. The heavens grant such an opportunity. 180,000 great Tang elites defeated by both Wusi-Zang and Mongshe-Zhao. He immediately ordered mobilization, threatening the biting. In the northeast, Goguryeo suddenly opened the gates of Gemu City, marching to the exact decree of Yun Gaesaman. Attack aggressively, pin down Great Tang. The entire realm descended into panic. Yet Wang Sung alone, from start to finish, remained eerily calm. Standing alone atop Jigua Mountain, Wang Sung gazed down at the cavalry unit he had just finished training, thinking to himself, everything has come full circle. Zhao Jingdian reported training complete. Hundreds of Jinwu masters began drilling coordinated formations, while Wang Sung distributed tactical diagrams for the next phase. Prince Song and his old steward approached silently from behind, so quietly that Wei Anfang, the one standing watch, noticed nothing. He spoke, blunt and direct. By Salagonglu and Dusang Mangbuzi attacking Beidou City simultaneously to pin down Geshu Han. You knew long beforehand, didn't you? Wang Sung did not dodge the question, nodding in frank admission. Prince Sung was stunned. I never imagined. You're truly training them for this. He didn't understand everything yet, but he chose to trust the boy. Prince Song pressed on without letting up. How on earth did you know? Wang Sung replied, his voice light as air. If I told you, would anyone believe me? This had never been some grand secret. Wusi-Zang, Mongshe-Zhao, and foreign forces were growing stronger by the day. While Great Tang weakened, one only needed to look squarely at the situation. This was the first time a man of the court's highest authority had come this close to the truth. But what Wang Sung carried in his mind was never any prophecy. It was the memory of a life already lived, a former existence he had never recounted to anyone. He continued his analysis. Wusi-Zang was the greatest threat, leveraging both terrain advantage and commanders like Deqin Ruosan. The catastrophic defeat in the southwest was inflicted by Zhao Feng leading 300,000 Mongshe-Zhao troops, and the crisis would only deepen. Prince Song sighed, nearly despairing at the prospect of averting catastrophe. Yet he still handed Wang Sung a command token, promised to supply more masters, then departed in silence. He headed straight to the Zhang family forge. Zhang Zong reported, 1,000 Wusi steel swords would be completed within 3 days, and the armor forged from meteor iron was ahead of schedule. If we don't try, how will we know if it succeeds? Inside the armory, steel walls over 3 feet thick, not a single window. Wang Sung personally inspected nearly 1,000 freshly forged Wusi steel sword blanks. Not a single corner cut, despite the crushing deadline. He gave a slight nod. The Zhang family smiths in the capital are indeed formidable. Batch after batch of weapons were transported to a mountain cave near the capital for tempering, then distributed to the elite unit borrowed from the noble houses. Value quality over quantity, the philosophy he pursued from the start, was now forging a 1,000-man elite unit. Meanwhile, at the imperial court, a desperate plea for help from Xinyu Zhongtong arrived. 80,000 surviving remnants were trapped in a place called Lion City, rations dwindling by the day. The problem was, no one could find the name Lion City on any map or land registry. A minor official suddenly recalled, Wang Sung had once mentioned building a fortress at Lion Mountain. Someone gasped. How did he know Great Tang and Mongshe-Zhao would clash at that exact spot? Investigation confirmed. The Wang clan had quietly shipped supplies and 1 million taels of gold to the southwest, months in advance. Courtiers argued furiously. Had Wang Sung predicted this entire war half a year ahead, silently erecting a critical stronghold? But right now he had no bandwidth to spare for court squabbles. After tempering the final Wusi steel sword, Wang Sung departed the mountain cave. He flatly ignored the court summons, steering his carriage straight into Vermilion Bird Street, not toward the Wang residence, but directly to the Minister of War's estate. He pitched his case to Zhangqiu Jianxiong. My lord, if you are this anxious, why not leave the Ministry of War and personally take command in the southwest? But the minister refused, citing the need to hold his position. Wang Sung pivoted. I only need 1 token from your person, enough to command authority over the entire Annan Protectorate army. Zhangqiu Jianxiong reluctantly nodded, handing over a heavy black and gold command token. 1,000 masters on horseback assembled under Zhao Jingdian's command. Li Zui, tall and imposing, bearing a colossal greatsword, was also present, along with a band of mercenaries. Someone leaned close and murmured, the southwest this time is fraught with peril. If you want to turn back, there's still time. Not a single man in the company turned his head. While the entire Great Tang Empire had its eyes locked on the court and the Gungkal southwest front, almost no one realized that Wang Sung, carrying hundreds of millions of taels in gold, a mountainous fortune, 1,000 Wusi steel swords, and his recruited company of masters, was quietly slipping out of the capital, galloping full tilt toward the distant southwest. Lion City, with its 80,000 starving remnants. Could it possibly hold until he arrived? Next episode, we follow that secret expedition. Corpses litter the surface of Arai Lake. Black crows blanket the sky as they peck at each body. Half a year of war in the southwest has turned this place into a sprawling graveyard. The 500,000-strong allied army of Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Zang should have devoured Great Tang long ago. Yet one small city still stands tall, halting that sea of men for 6 straight months. Lion City. In the enemy command tent, Deqin Ruosan frowns at the latest report. That city was built by a mere child? Scouts have confirmed. The one who built the city is none other than the youngest grandson of Great Tang's greatest general, Wang Jiling. That name makes the old minister freeze. He continues, his voice heavy with worry. That child may well become a disaster for both Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Zang. Zhao Feng merely scoffs. He already has a plan. Mobilize every available laborer to fell timber and mass-produce siege ladders. Barely 10 days and they'll be ready. Huoshu Guizong, the army seals off the city. Absolutely no one inside gets out alive. Thousands of laborers break their backs chopping wood. battle cries echoing skyward as ancient trees crash down one after another. In the distance, rows of siege ladders are taking shape. The countdown to an assault has begun. 1,000 miles away, Wang Sung leads a force of several thousand, galloping through the night toward the southwest, scaling mountains and crossing passes for 3 full days and nights, almost without rest. In his mind, a cold warning pulses without cease. Lion City's garrison has been depleted. Only 74,517 soldiers remain. Even mid-march, he seizes every moment to whip the ragtag band of hired masters into shape, drilling them into disciplined formations, wings, and spearheads, everything in its proper place. A white-robed soldier steps out from the tree-line and drops to one knee. "Young master, your subordinate has waited here for 3 days. The item you requested, it is ready." For the first time, Wang Sung orders the entire racing column to halt. Only Old Eagle is unsurprised. His gaze remains calm, fixed ahead, as though he had anticipated this all along. "Where is it?" Wang Sung receives a square iron box and hands it to Zhao Jingdian for safekeeping. Kept apart from the main army, absolutely not to be opened without explicit orders. 5 days later, the column encounters a flood of refugees fleeing the war in chaos, their wails and cries echoing all along the mountain road. Wang Sung immediately detaches 100 mercenaries, placing them underway en fang to restore order, and to stop scavengers from preying on the desperate. Old Eagle's falcons circle high overhead, their coded signals relaying back. 300 enemy cavalry ahead, alongside traces of a Tang relief force, very likely the scattered remnants of General Li Zhengji's command. "Entire army, hear my command. Prepare to kill." The whole column pivots, surging 300 li straight toward the enemy. On a low hilltop, barely a dozen Tang cavalry remain, men and horses alike riddled with wounds, ringed by over 100 tightening Wusi-Zang riders. One soldier lets out a ragged sigh. "Looks like this is where we rest for good." The man beside him grits his teeth. "Even if we die, we won't let them look down on the soldiers of Great Tang." A Mongshe-Zhao interpreter rides forward, barking demands that the Tang soldiers lay down their arms and surrender. The Tang commander lifts his head and roars. "Great Tang has heroes who fall in battle. No cowards who kneel." Over 100 Wusi-Zang cavalry activate simultaneously. 100 Maunyo halos merge into a single wall of light, shielding the entire charging formation. 3 Tang ballista carts strain to return fire, but the enemy uses the corpses of their own fallen comrades as arrow shields. The battle tilts toward utter despair. 300 or 400 more cavalry pour in from 3 directions at once. Total encirclement. The commander grinds his teeth. Fall back. As long as the Green Mountains remain, there's no shortage of firewood. Survive first. Avenge the fallen brothers another day. The ground suddenly heaves. A massive falcon circles overhead, and behind it, an entire squadron of pitch-black heavy cavalry crests the northern hill like a flood, their battle cry of kill, thundering across the field. In a single engagement, Wusi steel blades carve through 347 Wusi-Zang soldiers almost instantly. On the Tang side, not a single casualty. Li Jie marvels at the razor-sharp blade. Confirmation also arrives. Gushu Han, Great Tide's supreme commander, and his army are being pinned down at Longxi by Bain Legonglu in person. No reinforcements can be spared. Wang Sung reigns in his black steed Baidi Wu, charging straight for the hilltop where the Tang remnants still cling on. He produces the dragon token before the battered soldiers. The entire group stares in stunned recognition of the imperial authority standing before them. "You serve under Li Zhengji?" One question opens the door to an entire saga of tragedy and valor. General Li Zhengji had led 60,000 reinforcements, only to be ambushed mid-route by Huashu Guizong himself. He sacrificed his own life to carve a path of survival for his men to scatter in all directions. The remnants also mention Captain Su, an officer holding nearly 1,000 soldiers and supply stocks to the southeast. Wang Sung immediately releases a falcon to scout ahead. A thought strikes him. A war of this scale is exactly the fuel he needs to accelerate his minor yin-yang technique cultivation. The column presses south, hunting for more Wusi-Zang cavalry. Wuchi halos erupt from Wang Sung's feet and ripple through the entire force. One-stroke chain slash. Row after row of Wusi-Zang cavalry crumbles, leaving only faint blood trails behind. Absorbing the full blood chi of every fallen enemy through the minor yin-yang technique, he breaks through from the 4th level of Jinwu straight to the 5th, right on the battlefield. Instantly, his Wuchi halo surges to the 2nd rank, exactly as a prophecy foretold long ago. A wave of bone-deep exhaustion crashes over him. He swallows a pill in haste. What kind of technique are you actually cultivating? Li Jie barely finishes the question before he's cut off. Urgent scouts report. Over 1,000 Wusi-Zang heavy cavalry are massing directly ahead. For days on end, Wang Sung's mixed force sweeps through almost without meeting meaningful resistance. Old Eagle is dispatched to scout deeper to the north. Dozens of li away, in the enemy camp, an abnormally tall commander wearing a pair of massively heavy golden metal gauntlets listens as his trembling deputy Dangba delivers his report. Confirmed. For reasons unknown, a Tang relief force has suddenly appeared in the north, fearsomely skilled. Our men there have been nearly wiped out. Siren Luori is dead. A colossal Tang fighter cut down a 9th-level Jinwu master with a single strike and swept the entire northern flank clean. He erupts in fury, roaring directly into Dangba's face. You've inflated the Tang army's morale and crushed our own. The white oxhorn war trumpets sound, summoning every remaining Wusi-Zang force in the region. Wang Sung is still forging discipline among the aristocratic family masters under Li Jie's watchful eye, until frantic scout reports flood in, voices shaking, too fast. This army arrived faster than anyone imagined. The enemy has closed to within 50 li. Standing on the summit alongside Old Eagle and Li Jie, Wang Sung sees the truth. The so-called 1,000 is in fact 3,000 regular cavalry, powerful enough to match 10,000 ordinary soldiers on their own. He murmurs, this time, we've met a true master. Li Jie objects. This ragtag mixed force cannot stand against elite cavalry. But Wang Sung cuts him off. Shattering this vanguard is a mandatory step before confronting the hundreds of thousands besieging Lion City. Li Jie falls silent for a long moment, then nods, as though committing himself to a gamble with no line of retreat. Hoofbeats thunder like a storm, the earth trembling underfoot. Wang Sung leads 1,000+ masters and the Tang remnants charging straight out of the forest. The distant Wusi-Zang forces freeze in disbelief, a shout echoing back. What is this? The Tang army dares to charge out on their own. 3,000 cavalry arrayed in 30 charging waves activate their Maunyo halos in unison. A colossal dome of white light materializes, swallowing their entire formation like a mobile fortress. In answer, Wang Sung's rank 2 Wuchi halo erupts across his entire army for the first time. 2 layers of dark light overlapping, spreading to every spear tip and every blade edge. The wedge formation tears through the gap as both sides crash head-on. Amid the howling chaos of the battlefield, a strange thought flashes through Wang Sung's mind. How long has it been since he last heard this call? A call from a previous life, when he once stood at the head of 10,000 soldiers. The decisive battle has only just begun. Next episode, who will be the first to fall? Hoofs thunder across the earth, dust swirling sky-high. 1,000 great Tang iron cavalry, led by Wang Sung himself, charge straight into 3,000 Wusi Tibetan riders, without a heartbeat's hesitation. The gap closes in heartbeats 40 miles 20-10, then barely 500 meters. The enemy commander Basunlu sneers. 1,000 men? They dare pit 1,000 against our 3,000. Just as the two sides are about to collide, Wang Sung roars. Net formation. 1,000 cavalry split instantly, 2 wings of 500 sweep around both flanks, dodging the head-on clash. Both wings slam into the enemy's sides, blades clashing in a deafening din. In the first charge alone, dozens of Wusi Tibetan riders are unhorsed. But the 3,000-strong enemy force does not waver. They combine to raise the dome shield bastion, a dense, dome-shaped energy barrier even Wusi steel cannot pierce. Battle is never one-sided. The great Tang cavalry has broken a path, but the enemy finds a gap to strike back. That opening waits for the blink of an eye. With their mid-grade dome shield bastion still holding, the Wusi Tibetan army believes it will crush the thin cavalry force with wave after wave of assaults. Wang Sung unleashes the Myriad One aura. The enemy's defensive formation weakens instantly, Dropping from mid-grade to low-grade, the balance shatters. He switches tactics in a heartbeat, roaring, Heavennet Earthweb, 1,000 cavalry fracture into serpentine squads, threading through every gap in the enemy's tiered formation. In a single flash, 500 Wusi Tibetan soldiers fall, heavy armor, protective auras, none of it lets them react for even a single breath. Through the churning dust, the enemy commander wearing golden gauntlets launches into the air, radiating a wave of destructive power that staggers the entire battlefield. It's the Earth Store secret art.
Wang sung balot.
Memories of a life already lived flood back. He has witnessed this technique and knows exactly how dangerous it is. Memories of his past life, forged in apocalyptic chaos, hold too many secrets. The Earth Store secret art, trading life potential for instantaneous power. A desperate gambit only the reckless dare play. Basunlu roars, forcing his realm to surge from the 4th and 5th levels of Xuanwu to the 8th and 9th. Thunderclouds gather in both his palms. No one kills my warriors without paying. I want every last one of you dead. Wang Sung hesitates not, sending Li Zi to meet the threat head-on, the only man in his army strong enough to hold this monster. Li Zi draws his massive Wusi steel sword, roaring, Eat my blade. The two collide, an explosion like thunder tears across the desert. In the same breath, Wang Sung reorganizes the entire army into the wind arrow formation, a piercing lance driving straight into the enemy's tiered ranks. The Wusi Tibetan cavalry throws everything at the spearhead, believing that severing it will collapse the whole formation. But the tip keeps dissolving and reforming, impossible to cut. The wind arrow's spearhead pierces ceaselessly, a self-driving engine, plunging the Wusi Tibetan army into total chaos. In the thick of battle, Wang Sung absorbs the enemy's life force through the minor yin-yang technique. His realm surges from the 1st level of Zhenwu to the 5th, in the blink of an eye. But the power floods in too fast. In his mind, only one thought remains. Friend and foe blur together. Kill them all. Wang Sung must reverse his own meridians using the evil emperor's old man's technique, choking down his frenzy at the very last moment. Basunlu summons another energy wave to drive him back. Wang Sung roars, Now, kill! Old Eagle cheers from behind. That's it. It worked. The dust clears, revealing the final form, the 6-armed Earth Store Vajra, a bronze-skinned guardian deity over 3 meters tall, 6 hands wielding 6 bronze artifacts. He bellows, Whoever you are, today you die. The 6-armed Earth Store Vajra swings a lethal bronze weapon. Li Zi blocks with his Wusi steel sword. The impact shakes the very ground. Wang Sung sees the enemy's celestial iron gauntlets actually withstand that slash. He stares in disbelief. How can a weapon like that exist? He orders a tactical shift, curved maneuver strike. The cavalry arcs in a wide sweep, cutting down hundreds of remaining enemy soldiers while Li Zi pins the giant. Wang Sung calls out 3 acupoints in succession, channeling the finishing blow. Xiaoyang, Xiaoyang, Tai-in. Li Zi unleashes a 3-stroke chain. Heaven's army shatters the void. 10 strikes, 10 deaths. Mountain river cleaving power. The final strike severs Basunlu's head, and the entire Vajra form collapses instantly. The commander falls, and the entire Wusi Tibetan army breaks completely. Moments ago they thought they held the advantage. Now they disintegrate in seconds. Wang Sung searches Basunlu's body and finds the golden gauntlets engraved with the crest of the Great Snow Mountain Holy Land. As expected, the work of the Great Snow Mountain Holy Land. But searching the entire body turns up no accompanying martial manual. A commander of his rank should carry one. Something feels wrong. Noticing the unusually thick boots on the corpse's feet, Wang Sung slices them open. Inside, 2 hidden scrolls appear, one for the 6-armed Earth Store Vajra, one for a secret potential awakening technique written in Tibetan script. Here they are. He beams. Right then, the Destiny Stone fires an urgent alert. Warning, major event. The Annan Protectorate army has suffered heavy losses. Lion City is about to fall. Countdown, 3 days. Wang Sung goes pale. How can this be? No time left for hesitation. He orders the entire army to march south at full speed, not stopping for a single moment. Hundreds of miles away, Su Shiping is rallying 5,000 soldiers atop a mountain peak, receiving reports of thick dust clouds closing in. The Wusi-Tibetan army has arrived. On the mountaintop, their numbers have dwindled to 5 or 6,000, far too few against 3,000 enemy cavalry. A subordinate begs, "My lord, give the order. We volunteer as the death squad." At the darkest moment of despair, a voice rings out, "Wait, those aren't Wusi-Tibetan troops. They're ours." Wang Sung rides forward, raising Prince Song's golden token. Su Shiping recognizes it at once, bowing. "I did not know you served His Highness Prince Song. Forgive my failure to welcome you properly. I beg your pardon." Wang Sung declares without preamble, "From this moment on, everyone obeys my commands." The soldiers believe the imperial court has finally sent a relief army. But the answer is simple. There is no relief, just us. The mountaintop falls into a deathly silence. Su Shiping sighs. The Wusi-Tibetan army bears down with savage fury. With so few men, it's like tossing salt into the sea against the whole Southwest crisis. Wang Sung, Old Eagle, and Li Zi burst out laughing. Old Eagle asks, "Commander Su, did you say this was the wrong man?" Then tosses Basunlu's severed head right into the middle of the camp. The entire garrison reels in shock. Su Shiping freezes. The man he thought invincible has died at their hands. He looks at Wang Sung with completely different eyes. The man who pulled off such a feat truly cannot be measured by ordinary logic. Wang Sung gives a terse account. Li Zi's Wusi steel sword, combined with the circling formation tactics, brought down a force 3 times their size. The whole group huddles over the sand table. Su Shiping points out a string of critical mountain passes, each one sealed shut, each garrisoned by 6,000 Wusi-Tibetan soldiers. Huashu Guizong. His martial prowess is terrifying enough, but his mind, versed in both war and strategy, is even worse. Su Shiping suggests halting, gathering the scattered forces before advancing. Wang Sung shakes his head flatly. The march south cannot be delayed by even a moment. We move now. Lion City has only 3 days left. Regarding the threat of Ba Chi-chung, one of the 5 Tiger generals, the man who once shattered General Li Zhengji's legendary Golden Broth Grand Formation, a bastion neither the Arabs nor the Turks could break, Wang Sung answers in 3 words. "Leave him to me." The entire Great Tang army marches at once, heading due south. Not a single soldier falls behind. On a distant peak, Ba Chi-chung watches the dust cloud closing in. At first he thinks it's a relief force, then realizes it is the very army he defeated retreating. He mistakes it for cowardice. "Then we come to them," he roars, ordering the entire army to attack, his eyes blazing with cold, savage fury. 2 armies, once again, plunge straight at each other. Next episode. Can Wang Sung reach Lion City before the 3 days run out? A deep yak horn bugle reverberates across the mountainside. A ring of blazing fire, like a blooming lotus, erupts around the lead warhorse, and all 6,000 riders behind surge with heat, their martial aura churning faster than ever. This is Ba Chi-chung, one of the 5 Tiger generals of Wusi-Zang. On the far side of the slope, Wang Sung arrays 8,000 men in a defensive formation, silent and motionless. Su Shiping had already prepared thick, sturdy shield walls in advance. Wang Sung absolutely refuses to strike first, even as his subordinates fret and pace. Old Eagle releases his scouting hawks and confirms Ba Chi-chung is closing in. A deputy commander leans in, voice trembling. "My lord, is this truly wise?" Wang Sung gives a cold smile. "Humph. If we don't try, how will we know?" He orders them to wait until the enemy's second army joins forces first. Ba Chi-chung also chooses not to attack immediately. He realizes this opponent is far shrewder than before. There is no need to rush. Both sides hold their ground, waiting for the second reinforcing army to arrive. A panicked subordinate stammers a report. "The 2 enemy forces are about to merge into over 12,000 elite cavalry. Our army cannot possibly withstand them." Wang Sung answers curtly, "Not necessarily." Amid the enemy ranks, a black war beast banner flutters in the wind, chilling the blood of all who lay eyes on it. Zhangyang Daluo leads his army forward, bowing his head. "Everything shall be as my lord commands." The 2 Wusi-Zang armies officially merge into one, over 10,000 cavalry in total. Ba Qiqing growls the order for a full assault. Wipe them out. Leave no one alive. On the mountainside, Wang Sung arranges his troops in multiple defensive layers, his eyes never leaving the cavalry rolling toward them like a black tidal wave. Wusi-Zang cavalry surges up the slope in a massive swarm. Both sides simultaneously activate their aura halos to boost their power. The very air seems ready to explode. Boom! A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering blast. Tens of thousands of black cavalry, like a gargantuan wave, slam straight into the dike, crashing violently into the great Tang lines. Hundreds of shield-bearers are flung into the sky like kites with severed strings. But the defensive line still holds. Hold firm. Hold firm. Ba Qiqing's face turns crimson. The defensive line simply will not break. He roars, "Charge! Whoever fails to break through faces military execution." Wang Sung shouts, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 9th formations, axemen, spearmen, macemen, advance. Amid the clash, he suddenly orders the archers to loose. Thousands of arrows tear through the wind at a distance of barely 200 paces. Horses panic and crash into each other. The enemy formation descends into total chaos. Wang Sung leans close to Old Eagle. "Get ready. Your turn is almost up." A gale sweeps across the mountaintop, and unseen by anyone, a cold decision flashes through his mind. Without warning, Wang Sung orders a retreat. Zhongyang Daluo believes his moment has come and bellows, "All of you, follow me. Slaughter them all." Then leads 6,000 elite cavalry in pursuit, plunging straight into a narrow gorge. The instant the cavalry column is fully trapped inside the gorge, hundreds of concealed ballistae on the slopes open fire simultaneously. A dense volley of bolts strikes down over 700 men in the very first salvo. Zhongyang Daluo howls. "Despicable." Wang Sung replies coldly, "Humph, you've crawled in. You think you can still escape?" Wang Sung, Li Zi, and the other commanders strike from all four sides. In a single breath, Zhongyang Daluo collapses amid his own shrieks of panic. Hearing the report, Ba Qiqing grinds his teeth. "Useless Feiwu. You have disappointed me." Ba Qiqing personally leads the entire remaining army, 6,000 elite cavalry, charging in a wedge formation. A blazing red aura halo envelopes him completely as he roars the order for an all-out charge. Anyone who retreats, beheaded. At first, the enemy overwhelms them, piercing through one defensive layer after another. A subordinate comes running in panic with a report. Wang Sung merely answers, "Do not panic. Follow my orders." He sends the order to change formation. Vanguard crane wing formation, for layers of crane wings rise up, deliberately leaving two gaps on both flanks. Ba Qiqing sneers, "How naive," then commits his full force straight into the center. The moment his formation is split apart, he stiffens in horror. The trap has already snapped shut. At that exact moment, 2,600 cavalry from the noble scions pour down the mountainside like lightning. Highland barbarians, take a strike from my blade. The Wusi-Zang army plunges into chaos in the blink of an eye. An unseen voice echoes continuously in the soldiers' minds. "Congratulations to the master for eliminating 3,610 Wusi-Zang regulars." Then it sounds again, the kill count climbing steadily with every beat of the battle. "We've won. We've actually won." A roar of triumph erupts across the entire mountainside. A commander rushes up to report, "A great victory. Over 12,000 Wusi-Zang elite cavalry, save for roughly 1,000 survivors, have been completely cut down." Wang Sung asks about their own losses. 2,700. He frowns. Casualties are still a bit high. Ba Qiqing is dragged forward in bonds. He stares in astonishment as Wang Sung directly addresses him in the Wusi-Zang tongue. "You speak Wusi-Zang?" In all of Great Tang, very few can speak the Wusi-Zang language. The Wusi-Zang side deliberately keeps it that way. The less the Tang people understand, the greater their advantage. Wang Sung gives a cold smile. "Know yourself, know your enemy. 100 battles, 100 victories." He states plainly, Wusi-Zang harbors wild ambitions toward Great Tang. They even sent their crown prince to the imperial capital for espionage. Is it so strange that we know their tongue? Ba Qiqing sneers haughtily. "A single Haidong Qing is nothing." Wang Sung shakes his head slightly. I already know everything. Now, I no longer need you to say anything at all. Tenglong's spear. A shout rings out as the spear thrust pierces straight through, carrying the coiling image of a dragon. Ba Qiqing panics. How is this possible? What demonic art are you cultivating? The instant he draws his last breath, Wang Sung absorbs the entirety of his profound martial-level power. The boy's hair stands on end. A mist of blood bursts from his body. True martial 6th level, 7th, 8th, then 9th, 3 entire realms vaulted in a single breath. The spear, drawn from behind his back, shakes the entire mountaintop. A deep crater and a colossal pillar of dust shoot skyward. Li Zi and the others look on in disbelief. A single spear thrust has just touched the profound martial realm. A great wind sweeps the dust from the mountaintop, revealing a massive crater. The crowd murmurs about the bizarre cultivation technique they just witnessed, but no one dares question Wang Sung directly. A silent notification echoes in his mind, an additional 5 points of destiny fate, for he has just altered an entire stretch of history. Wang Sung turns to Su Shiping and sums up the battle. Ba Qiqing is dead, Zhangyang Daluo has been eliminated. Wusi-Zang's central defensive line is effectively shattered. Then he calls out, Li Zi. Li Zi freezes. He realizes this is not the road to Lion City. Wang Sung presses a sealed brocade pouch into his hand. This matter is more important than everything you are doing right now. The army descends the mountain and marches several hundred li before meeting the second reinforcement army led by Su Anjuan. The two forces merge. Wang Sung's head count surges from over 5,000 to more than 11,000. Wang Sung gives a few brief instructions, then sends him on his way. Li Zi leads 1,000 elite cavalry, quietly splitting off from the main column in a different direction. With more than double the manpower, Wang Sung sweeps clean the remaining Wusi-Zang stragglers. The entire mop-up takes less than 1 watch. Su Anjuan seeks out Wang Sung in private, his voice hesitant, and cautiously lays out his greatest worry. Right now, the true threat is not Wusi-Zang but provisions. Wang Sung reassures him. No need to worry. I had Zhang Munian handle this back when we were still in the capital. Wang Sung thinks to himself. No matter how heaven-defying the martial path becomes, this era is no different from the modern age etched in the memories of his past life. Food has always been the paramount concern. He has entrusted all logistics entirely to Zhao Yiqin, working in tandem with Zhang Munian. The army continues its march south, flattening 3 more strongholds, over 18,000 Wusi-Zang cavalry wiped out in total. Along the way, long black scorch marks reveal the passage of a terrifyingly massive army, commanded personally by Huashu Guizong, the very figure whom even the empire's fiercest tiger, Zhangqiu Jianxiong, fears to cross. The soldiers begin to falter at the prospect of confronting him. More than 2,000 li away, Li Zi stands before an iron chest, guarded vigilantly throughout the entire journey. It's finally time to open it. A dry click, the lid springs open. Inside lies a decomposed mass of flesh wrapped in cloth. A soldier blinks in confusion. Mutton? Li Zi examines the bones closely, and his face suddenly hardens. This is a sheep that died of plague. A thought flashes through his mind. Wang Sung is silently orchestrating a scheme far greater than anything he imagined. Next episode. What plan does that brocade pouch truly contain? A sword stroke cleaves straight into the ground, leaving a gash deep and grim. From this moment, no one approaches without my order. Whoever defies this, dies. The one who just spoke is Li Zi, the most trusted general under Wang Sung. In his hands lies a sealed brocade box, holding something deadlier than any blade. Sheep plague seeds, a parting gift from his master before departure. He remembers the reason. 180,000 elite soldiers of the Annan Protectorate, defeated, 60,000 reinforcements wiped out, 1 million civilians exposed before the combined armies of Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Tibet. To fight the enemy, you cannot merely scratch the surface. You must make them ache to the very marrow. Over 1,000 elite cavalry sweep into the chilly river pastures. The Wusi-Tibetan herders barely manage to scream one phrase before scattering in panic. Tang people! It's the Tang people! Tianwai iron armor, Wusi steel swords, weapons Wang Sung once moved heaven and earth to procure, now tasting true blood for the first time. 600-700 herders fall in the blink of an eye. On the Tang side, not a single casualty. A gravely wounded herder drags himself up from the pile of corpses, desperately driving the surviving flock back toward the plateau to raise the alarm. But it is already too late. The plague has seeped into every bean, every sack of dried rations. A catastrophe that will drag on not merely for years, but perhaps for more than a decade. 1,000 miles north, in the imperial capital, Wang Zhen sits as though on a bed of fire. 2 days now, and not a single word from his nephew since the army marched. A guard reports. The young master left orders before he departed. From now on, everyone in the manor must obey the attendant surnamed Su Yiqin. In the study, the brush in Su Yiqin's hand flies without a trace of hesitation, as though every answer already lies fully formed in her mind. Every merchant caravan, horse team, and camel train of the capital's noble houses is converging on a single direction, the southwest. She softly recalls the 4 words Wang Sung spoke at their parting. I trust you. Then grits her teeth and writes on, only one thought echoing in her mind. Don't die. No matter what happens, you absolutely must not die. On the road south, Wang Sung leads 10,000 soldiers in a forced march, day and night without rest. Su Shiping and Su Anqian plead for the men to halt. He refuses without hesitation. No, this is not the time to rest. The sky suddenly darkens. A torrential downpour surges from the south without warning. Wang Sung freezes, then blurts out, 3 days. In 3 days, the city will fall. He immediately drives 2,000 cavalry headlong into the blinding curtain of rain, using the giant eagle to lead the way and relay the warning. This is the one and only chance for the besieged army to break free. Only 3 days remain. In the Wusi Tibetan camp, General Huashu Guizong receives the report. The Annan Protectorate Army just broke through the western gate. Barely a dozen men escaped, yet scouts in all 4 directions cannot find any trace of a great Tang main force. He flies into a rage, realizing he has fallen for a trick. Decisive Rusin, the top strategist of the Ali royal branch, analyzes the situation. Only Wang Yen and his son possess the decisiveness to organize such a breakout. The central plains of Great Tang truly has no shortage of talent. That father, Wang Yen, though far eclipsed in fame by his own father 9th Duke, is a rare breed of battlefield commander. Flawless in both offense and defense, with almost no exploitable weakness. Enemy scouts discover a major breach in the southeastern wall of Lion City, the marks still fresh. The breakout succeeded, but the true price has yet to be paid. Amidst the rain, the Destiny Rock system counts down frantically in Wang Sung's mind. Less than half a watch to reach the destination. He grips the reins tight. Little Black, whether we survive this trial or not rests on you. The white-headed black horse surges into the air, crossing the finish line the instant the alarm bell falls silent. The system chimes. Phase 1 of the mission complete, reward of 200 destiny points. But before he can even catch his breath, the sound of war drums echoes through the rain. Old Eagle growls. It's the Wusi Tibetan Iron Cavalry. Lying prone behind a hill, Wang Sung and Old Eagle watch an entire plain consumed by battle. 80,000 Wusi Tibetan Iron Cavalry churn through the mud. Their formation ragged, but their ferocity undiminished. Atop the mountain peak, a banner bearing the name Li Shui snaps in the wind and rain. Wang Sung recognizes the familiar style at once. Seize the high ground, hold firm, layer upon layer of defense. That is his eldest brother, Wang Fu. He quickly pieces together the key intelligence. The enemy vanguard contains no sacred martial realm experts. Huashu Guizong and Decisive Rusin have yet to appear. He must act now, before this grinding stalemate shatters. At that very moment, the northeastern defense line on the mountaintop suddenly falls into abnormal chaos, unlike a standard assault. That is the sector his eldest brother commands. A grim premonition slams into Wang Sung's chest. Could it be? Without hesitation, he orders Old Eagle to dispatch the giant eagle with an urgent message to Su Shiping and Su Anqian. Bring the army to reinforce, but under no circumstances act rashly. Follow his command alone. The white-headed black horse tears straight toward the front line. The frontline commander watches his men fall one after another, and howls in near despair. My lord, give the order, quickly. Wang Sung vaults over the entire formation, his voice roaring through the rain. Infantry, charge. Right flank, Advance 50 paces, strike deep. Shield bearers, fall back and form the turtle shell formation. Commanders relay the orders down the ranks. A soldier's first duty is obedience. No one dares delay, even without understanding why. The shattered formation snaps back into order. The Wusi-Tibetan line descends into chaos the instant the infantry carves straight into its weakest point. Done. He gallops straight up to the command tent on the peak, holding Prince Song's token high. Soldiers part to clear the path, until a massive guard, hand gripping a heavy saber, stands blocking the way like a wall. A wave of blade chi, thick and heavy as a mountain, presses down. No one has ever made Wang Sung wary like this. Yet it is contained, not released, all its devastating force channeled into a single point. At the moment of maximum tension, the man recognizes him and withdraws his blade in a flash. Pulling down his face wrap, it is Chan Shu-sun, his father's most trusted veteran officer, dispatched here to keep watch over his very own eldest brother. Wang Sung storms into the tent. The figure lying motionless on the bed is no nameless soldier standing in. It is his eldest brother Wang Fu himself, his chest caved in, each breath drawn deep but each exhale far too shallow. Chan Shu-sun recounts the truth. The eldest young master is wounded, unconscious as we speak, and we have no military physician in the army. His brother was first gravely injured by the enemy General Huashu Guizong, then wounded again in combat with the one known as the sword-toothed beast, Jisiluo. As long as the eldest young master stands, the army's spirit stands. That is why he had a soldier don Wang Fu's armor and stand beneath the command banner as a decoy, holding an entire army together with a single lie. Wang Sung lays his hand on his brother's body, confirming 3 vital acupoints damaged, meridians thrown into chaos, and 2 residual strands of foreign gang chi, something that could only originate from the great snow mountain holy land of Wusi, Tibet. Is there water? Bring me some water. He draws his sword, the tip tapping rapidly against 3 acupoints, drops of black blood seeping out. This is a wound treatment method only Wang Sung dares to attempt. Chan Shu-sun recoils at the bloodletting sight, his whole body chilled. But within minutes, the eldest young master's breathing shifts, and he quietly swallows every doubt. 2 priceless imperial pills are poured into Wang Fu's mouth. Success or failure now hinges on these 2 pills. His brother's complexion gradually flushes with color again. Stepping out of the tent, Wang Sung raises Prince Song's token once more and declares with absolute authority, "From this moment, I command this army." Chan Shu-sun bows his head in acknowledgement. Meanwhile, several thousand elite Mongshe-Zhao cavalry join the pursuit, led personally by Crown Prince Feng Jiai, the very figure Great Tang once single-handedly raised and nurtured, now their most dangerous enemy. Wang Sung snorts softly. Feng Jiai, he must have at least reached the Xuanwu realm by now. But war has never been about how powerful a single individual is. As the ancients said of Su Zhengqin, no matter how brilliant, one man alone cannot pacify all nations. He orders Chan Shu-sun to assemble every elite cavalryman and archer. The old warrior balks and tries to dissuade him. Wang Sung cuts him off. "Don't worry about all that. Just do as I say." For 5,000 cavalry blaze with the shatter aura, an offensive aura diametrically opposed to the bastion aura of the Wusi-Tibetan forces. 2,000 divine archer crossbowmen line up behind them, waiting in silence. Orders fly in rapid succession. Zhang Gaonian, Zhang Shi, Feng Long, switch to assault formation, charge the right flank with full force. Then, Zhao Qian, Huang He, Fu Long, deploy the single-line serpent formation. Anyone who disobeys orders will be dealt with by military law. Prince Song's token rises high, silencing every murmur. But what follows is the command that truly shakes the entire camp. The entire northeast line, abandoned positions, full retreat. No one wants to believe their fallen comrades sacrificed themselves in vain. But the loyalty forged through days of agony at Lion City compels them to obey despite their doubts. Few realize that the man standing beneath the banner, commanding the entire army, is no longer Wang Fu. Crush them. The Annan Protectorate army can't hold much longer. Triumphant shouts echo across the plain. The Wusi-Tibetan cavalry surges up the mountainside in pursuit, oblivious that they have just plunged headlong into a sack. Thousands of enemy cavalry are surrounded on all sides. Chen Shusun burns with impatience, about to charge out. Wang Sung holds him back with one hand. The real battle has not even begun. 2,000 divine archers raise their bows in unison, concentrating fire toward the southeast within a 30-zhang radius. The enemy reinforcement formation shatters in an instant. The next order rings out in rapid bursts. Abandon all defense, full counterattack across the entire line. The last lifeline of Wusi Tibetan reinforcements collapses completely. Wang Sung stands silently amidst the battlefield, gently releasing the myriad bone aura of defeat within him. An invisible ripple spreads from him in every direction. No one sees it, but everyone feels it. The war banner that decides victory or defeat for the entire battle has finally fallen. But how it falls, and to whom the scales of victory will tip, all of that still lies ahead. Next episode we shall see. An invisible shockwave erupts, sweeping outward and blanketing the entire army. It radiates from Wang Sung himself. It is the sign that the myriad Foslang halo has activated. A voice rings in his head. From now on, every enemy who dies within the halo's range increases your power by another level. The numbers climb without pause, 182, then 342, then soaring past 1,000. The Anan Protectorate army watches the enemy dying before their very eyes, and morale ignites like fire meeting wind. From on high, Wang Sung stands motionless, commanding. He deploys a single squad of elite marksmen to sever each wave of Wusi Tibetan reinforcements. Chen Shusun watches and murmurs. I never expected the young master to be so jingtong in the art of war. In the blink of an eye, the count surges past 7,000 Wusi Tibetan troops slain. But this is merely the opening act. Wusi Tibet unleashes a fresh wave of reinforcements, their killing intent eclipsing the sky. The commander roars a brutal order. Advance and live, retreat and die. The entire force dismounts and charges on foot straight into the Anan line. The two flanking assault squads atop the peak shake violently under the pressure. But Wang Sung gives no retreat order. He is counting down, waiting for the precise moment. Enough! Wang Sung roars. Southeast. Cavalry, full charge. 4,000 horsemen cascade down the slope like a raging torrent. Accelerated by the Crow-Steed halo, they smash headlong into the Wusi Tibetan reinforcement formation. The Wusi Tibetan reinforcements collapse in an instant, bodies falling in waves. Wang Sung's halo erupts savagely. The death toll has already soared past 26,000. Amidst that maelstrom, a strange sensation surges through him, as if he has just touched a deep, unfathomable tier of power never before known. It is the breath of the Xuanwu realm. Wang Sung orders an all-out assault across the entire line. The Wusi Tibetan battle line shatters completely. Both the southeast and northeast flanks crumble simultaneously, and the death toll closes in on 40,000. Suddenly, a roar tears through the sky. Halfway up the mountainside, a violent explosion erupts, and dozens of great Tang cavalrymen are flung aside like dry leaves. Space itself seems to warp. A colossal white tiger, over 3 zhang tall and 6 or 7 zhang long, materializes from the smoke and dust. On its back rests a metallic totem etched with arcane runes. This is Jusiluo. 3 volleys of crossbow bolts scream through the air in unison, all halted mid-flight by an invisible wall of qi. From afar, Wang Sung stares straight into the white tiger's mocking eyes. A surge of dread strikes him instantly. The white tiger shudders. The arrows lodged in its body fire outward in every direction like porcupine quills, punching through an entire cluster of surrounding infantry. Wang Sung urgently orders the marksmen to fall back. This beast's strength far exceeds all projections. Over 30 heavy crossbows fire simultaneously, converging every bolt onto a single point. Jusiluo crashes to the ground, yet bounces back to his feet within a single breath. He veers, slithering in an S pattern until he closes to just over 30 zhang from the peak. Chen Shusun charges out to block the path. He clashes fiercely with the beast, his upper body soon riddled with fresh wounds. Wang Sung whispers to his subordinate. The art of war is smoke and mirrors, deception and truth intertwined. Feng Jiayi spent a very long time in Great Tang. Then he decides, rest easy, he won't get that chance. I'll force him to show himself. He draws his sword and personally severs the commander's banner atop the peak. an irresistible bait that no enemy commander could ignore. Exactly as predicted, in the heart of the An Protectorate Army's ranks, a figure in disguise surges to his feet, tearing away his camouflage. Feng Jiayi, Crown Prince of Mongshe-Zhao, has infiltrated their own ranks without anyone noticing. He unleashes the Great Gung Golden Halo. In the blink of an eye, the armor of dozens of soldiers hardens into mindless iron puppets. No eyes, no ears, not a single trace of living breath. Old Eagle charges out to meet him head-on, executing a brand new technique, the six-arm Dizong Vajra. 6 arms swing simultaneously, confronting Feng Jiayi directly. The iron puppets stand motionless across the peak, devoid of any sign of life. An icy aura suddenly descends, as if heralding a storm of slaughter far more terrifying about to crash down upon them. Wang Sung, Old Eagle, a handful of elite Black Dragon Gang warriors, and several Anan soldiers confront Jisiluo alone. Yet, strangely, the smaller force holds the absolute upper hand. But in a heartbeat, Jisiluo and Feng Jiayi combine forces and annihilate 500 Anan troops. Wusi-Tibetan forces pour through the breach en masse, and the tide of battle shifts to deadly danger. Wang Sung personally seizes the commander's banner, barking a relentless stream of military orders. Formations 27 and 29. Intercept Jisiluo's elite guard. Leave the breached sectors alone. The entire Great Tang line restabilizes. Jisiluo and Feng Jiayi abandon the battlefield entirely, merging their blade aura and smashing straight toward Wang Sung. The White Tiger's gargantuan steel shield rips through the earth, gouging 2 deep trenches atop the peak. Feng Jiayi closes in step by step 3 zhang, 2 zhang, 1 zhang, then barely 2 paces. A decisive blow is about to land. At that exact moment, a black silhouette lunges in and rams him away. Wang Yan, Wang Sung's father, has arrived. Each of his strikes is so simple it lacks all flourish, yet every blow scatters the rain itself in midair. Wang Sung looks at his father and suddenly understands. A heavy blade needs no edge. Skill honed to its absolute peak returns to pure simplicity. Feng Jiayi can only defend, staggering before a strength no one ever anticipated. Feng Jiayi snarls. Great Tang is no longer the Great Tang of old. The southwest now belongs to Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Tibet. Wang Yan replies calmly, Your Highness need not waste words. Whether Great Tang remains Great Tang is not for a Mongshe-Zhao crown prince to decide. Wang Sung cuts in, delivering a cold sneer. He is only good with his mouth, but true skill is another matter entirely. Right then, over 10,000 reinforcements led by Su Shiping and Su Anchuan smash into the Wusi-Tibetan rear. Caught in a pincer from both front and back, the entire enemy army shatters in an instant. Feng Jiayi grits his teeth, swallows a pill, and forces a breakout alongside Jisiluo, fleeing through layer upon layer of pursuing Great Tang forces. Wang Sung roars. Uncle Chun, all generals, hear my command. Hunt them to the very end. Absolutely no one escapes. The Southwest catastrophe finally meets its first grand victory. The Great Tang army pursues for over 10 li before halting. In this battle, the 40,000-strong Anan army lost only 5 or 6,000 men. In exchange, over 50,000 Wusi-Tibetan cavalry lay dead. The generals surround Wang Sung, seeking his counsel on the next move. Some wish to turn back and rescue Shenyu Zhongtong. Others object, turning back now would be suicide. Wang Sung withdraws a pitch-black tiger head token from his robes, the personal credence of Lord Zhangxiu Jianxiong, granting him full authority over all Southwest affairs. The generals gasp upon seeing it. This is the Protectorate General's token. He continues, his voice iron. The Southwest is flatland, with few strategic peaks to hold for defense. Do you truly think you can outrun Wusi-Tibetan cavalry? Scatter, and the Mengshe-Wusi alliance will hunt you down one by one. That way lies only death. Wang Sung extinguishes any thought of fleeing from every mind present. The sooner they accept reality, the sooner the generals will unite. A dark-skinned, thick-bearded general speaks up. Rations at Lion City are depleted. Without food, how can they hold the defense? Wang Sung answers curtly, he already has a plan. Wang Yan rides up and nods. One thing the boy says is right. Lord Shenyu cannot be left unsaved. He immediately dispatches Old Eagle to locate Shenyu Zhongtong. On a different battlefield, Shenyu Zhongtong and his battered remnant army are boxed in atop a mountain. Layer after layer of Wusi Tibetan troops tighten the encirclement, commanded personally by Huashu Guizong. Huashu Guizong bellows, "Surrender. You are no match for me." Xinyu Zhongtong retorts without hesitation, "Huashu Guizong, do not gloat. The An Protectorate army will never bow to anyone. The order for a full assault is issued at once." Heavy rain crashes down, pouring directly into every soldier's face, shrouding the entire battlefield in blinding murk. A scout gallops back, his voice frantic. The Wusi Tibetan main force has appeared, over 100,000 strong. One wing of the An Protectorate has been completely encircled. Simultaneously, from the southwest, over 70,000 troops under Feng Jie and Jusiluo are closing in, forming a massive pincer. Under the expectant gaze of all, Wang Sung declares with finality, "Besiege the target, strike the reinforcements. Lord Xinyu can still hold. Feng Jie and Jusiluo are the threat we must eliminate first." Wang Yan nods firmly. "Sung, say whatever you're thinking. Whatever happens, the generals and I stand behind you." Wang Sung flings his arm out without another word. "Move out." He rides forward alone at the vanguard, the great army rumbling behind him through the torrential downpour. Ahead lie Feng Jie, Jusiluo, and the battle that will decide the entire Southwest campaign. Next episode, can Wang Sung finish off these two foes before Xinyu Zhongtong falls? Rain pours down across the hillside. Two figures ride like madmen, behind them a shattered army, and right ahead, laughter rings out through the downpour. The man who thought he had escaped freezes dead in his tracks. Jiasiluo and the crown prince of Mongshe-Zhao, Feng Jie, two commanders who once led a coalition army of nearly 80,000, now reduced to a scattered remnant of 20,000. Outmaneuvered at every turn, they had nothing left to argue. Feng Jie could not figure it out. Whoever defeated this enormous army had to be far too young to have made a name for himself, and it certainly was not Wang Fu. "I have been waiting for you all this time. Did you really think you could escape?" Wang Sung laughs aloud and orders a full assault. Cavalry, archers, axe-bearers, spearmen, all crash in at once. Bodies drop faster than anyone could have imagined. Knowing there was no way out, Jiasiluo transformed. A colossal white tiger with fierce slanted eyes, roaring as he held the rear so Feng Jie could flee. Wang Sung did not pursue. Once he decided to run, no one could catch him. At the same time, the great General Huashu Guizong received two contradictory reports. Tang forces were closing in, while Jiasiluo and Feng Jie were begging for reinforcements. 80,000 cavalry, how could they be beaten? He roared, unable to comprehend it. Longkinba, one of the 5 tiger generals, saw that the reports made no sense at all, and demanded an immediate investigation. Meanwhile, over 4,000 of Wang Sung's soldiers had disguised themselves as Wusi-Zang natives, slipping into the enemy's rear ranks. "We were sent by the two lords to fetch reinforcements. Fluent in the local tongue, identical armor, not a single guard suspected a thing." A silent thrust cut down the oblivious commander mid-formation. "Strike!" The shout rang out. Rain erased the line between friend and foe. The Wusi-Zang soldiers thought their own comrades were slaughtering each other. Over 2,000 enemy soldiers had already fallen when Wang Sung feigned a retreat. "Fall back! Everyone, follow me!" 7,000 cavalry, stung by humiliation, charged after him without a second thought. They plunged straight into a waterlogged marsh, where thousands of infantry lay hidden in wait. Mud and earth erupted into carnage. "We have walked into a trap." A scream tore through the chaos. Wang Sung charged in himself. The dragon roar spear whistled out like a serpent dragon, impaling an enemy general 20 zhang away. One thrust, clean and decisive. Amid the clashing of weapons, a notification resonated in his mind. 5 foreign generals slain, enough to unlock a new halo. Nemesis of all generals, an upgrade whose effect blanketed every enemy commander, not just ordinary soldiers. Wang Sung immediately broke away from the battle with a decisive evasive technique. He needed to check the details right now, even in the heat of combat. The Stone of Destiny responded clearly. To officially activate that halo, he must slay 10 foreign generals, defeat a profound martial realm expert in battle, and push Nemesis of generals to the 3rd tier. This battle, the perfect opportunity. He had his men strip the enemy's armor and chinka horses, donned the disguises, and split into two columns to withdraw under the cover of darkness. The disguised troops continued raiding camp after camp. Heavy rain, pitch-black night, no one could tell how many soldiers were actually attacking. A Wusi-Zang general standing on the mountaintop looking down suddenly felt his blood run cold. This is no trick. This is a genuine threat. On the mountain, the An Protectorate army under Xianyu Zhongtong endured wave after wave of harassment. Wusi-Zang gradually realized. This was no coincidence. There was an entire tactical pattern behind it. Xianyu Zhongtong marveled inwardly at the mysterious enemy's mastery of warfare. If not them, then who on earth is commanding the army attacking the Wusi-Zang at the foot of the mountain? Even Wang Fu, brilliant as he was beyond his own father's wisdom, likely could not have pulled this off. Whoever he is, one thing is certain. He is absolutely a friend, not an enemy, he concluded. Wusi-Zang suspected Longkinba was being tracked from above through the rain. He swore, "No matter who you are, this time, I will annihilate every last one of you." At the foot of the mountain, Wang Sung and Old Eagle continued blocking the enemy's all-out assault on the summit. Old Eagle was thrilled. "Young master, where do we strike next?" Wang Sung stopped him at once. "We cannot keep fighting. Do not forget, the Wusi-Zang still have Wusi-Zang. The true objective was never to annihilate the entire army, but to get Xianyu Zhongtong out of the encirclement, alive and safe." A cavalry squad closed in, triggering the sentry's alarm. A few volleys of arrows flew out before they pulled back fast. Bait that struck Wusi-Zang right where it hurt most. "You think you can run?" He uttered a single line. Then the Crimson Lotus karmic fire erupted. Napalm stones rained down from the sky onto the An Protectorate army, detonating violently through the downpour. The crimson blaze spread over 300 zhang, incinerating even the falling raindrops, swallowing soldiers and warhorses whole in a sea of fire. Seeing the Tang troops feign panicked flight, Wusi-Zang believed victory was firmly in his grasp. "Kill them all. Not a single one survives," he roared. But when his forces pursued, they froze. The corpses on the ground were not Tang soldiers, but their own comrades already killed in action. The entire ambush was a deception staged with the dead. At that very moment, Wang Sung's real assault crashed in from the northeast, exactly where Wusi-Zang had just been lured away from. His formation was skewed, leaving no time to react. He understood instantly. He had fallen for the trick of luring the tiger from its mountain. From the high ground, Wang Sung calmly commanded, "12th formation, release spears." 50,000 of Wang Sung's troops smashed straight into the weakest point of the defense line, the northeast sector whose patrol patterns he had mapped through countless reconnaissance runs. Cavalry forward, shield bearers outside, spearmen inside. The whole army advances. Infantry, archers, all surged forward at once. On the summit, Xianyu Zhongtong received a pigeon message and immediately launched a counterattack. The Wusi-Zang army collapsed swiftly under the two-pronged pincer. Recognizing the one who had broken the siege for him, Xianyu Zhongtong was stunned. "Young master, it is you again." Wang Sung handed over the black token and the personal letter of Zhangqiu Jianxiong, an official transfer of command. His father, Wang Yan, bellowed, "Sunger, what are you doing? Reckless. Step down at once." But Wang Sung did not waver. Full breakout. Xianyu Zhongtong raised no objection and yielded command on the spot. Only one thought remained in his mind: Wang Sung, a true man of the Wang clan after all. The enemy was exhausted. His subordinates urged Wang Sung to pursue and annihilate them to the last. He refused. The true mission of the An Protectorate army was to keep the people safe, not to slaughter every enemy. Longkinba seethed with fury. He could not punch through his own chaotic, routing troops to give chase. By the time he cleared a path, a detachment of Tang soldiers disguised as Wusi-Zang reinforcements had closed in from behind. Wang Yan and Xianyu Zhongtong struck simultaneously. Even when Longkinba unleashed his ultimate technique, the Black Giant Dragon manifestation, he was still beaten back by the combined assault of the two veteran generals, slamming into a massive boulder that shattered on the spot. "Brother Jingji, give it everything. Do not give him a chance," Xianyu Zhongtong roared, calling Wang Yan by his intimate courtesy name. His comrades managed to haul Longkinba onto a Chinka horse. He dared not look back, spurred the horse into the curtain of rain, and fled. A dragon-like roar tore through the thick rain, rising as a pillar of vacuum piercing heaven and earth. Wusi-Zang had arrived, but he was too late. Night fell, rain poured, ideal conditions for a withdrawal. Wang Yan judged the relief mission complete and ordered the army to pull back. Hearing Longkinba's full account, Wusi-Zang stood frozen, thinking to himself, such a short time, such speed. Even I could not have done it. The more outstanding his opponent, the more savagely his killing intent flared. An enemy more terrifying than anything the boy had ever faced now had his eyes fixed on him. Next episode. When the enemy's strongest warrior resolves to hunt him down, how will Wang Sung respond? A scream tore through the rainy night. The camp ahead stood utterly empty. The great Tang army had vanished without a trace. Longkinba's eyes bulged. This.
Impossible.
Wusi-Zang narrowed his eyes and calculated. If I'm not mistaken, that Tang general favors this tactic. Pursue now, and there are surely more ambushes waiting behind. The order came down. No pursuit in the rain. Wait for dawn. Then combine forces with Mongshe-Zhao's 300,000 troops. Exactly as Daluan Ruozan intended. The entire camp breathed easy, but no one dared let their guard down. At the tail end of the retreating column, Wang Sung rode in silence, his gaze fixed on the distance. The memories of his past life had just clicked into one more piece of the puzzle. Why Wusi-Zang was the sworn nemesis of Zhangqiu Jinkui. Now he understood. Move out. Wang Sung ordered, his voice betraying no hesitation. The entire army marched through the night, ignoring the Wusi Tibetan cavalry still lurking behind. Only one day remained to reach the rendezvous that meant survival. Nearly 100,000 shattered soldiers of the Annan Protectorate army slogged through the mud. Armor soaked through, legs trembling from exhaustion. But no one dared stop. Time was the most precious commodity of all. The imperial capital 1,000 miles away. The sacred emperor sat in silence on the dragon throne for days on end. Not a single word about the crisis in the southwest. The air inside Taiji Hall was thick enough to choke on. The stillness before a storm. Zhao Fengchen, commander of the Imperial Dragon Guards, and the old censor Duan Chao requested an audience. They wanted to deploy 200,000 Imperial Guards as reinforcements. Eunuch Gao blocked them right at the hall entrance. His Majesty was resting, no disturbances permitted. Duan Chao was about to bring up an old matter. Eunuch Gao immediately signaled him to stop. In the end, the eunuch himself stepped inside and asked softly, Your Majesty, the Southwest matter, are we truly doing nothing? The numbers kept piling up. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on each side. Nearly 1 million civilians in the Southwest dangling on spear points. The Mengwu coalition already exceeding 500,000 strong. Then rumors swept through the capital, enough to shake every noble residence. The 3 most outstanding members of the Wang clan in the military. All were present on the southwest battlefield at the very same time. The Wang estate in the northwest corner of the capital. Wang Zhen received devastating news in the dead of night, his hand gripping the letter until it trembled. Lion City had fallen. 4 siblings in one family, Wang Zhen, Wang Rushuang, Wang Yan, Wang Bai. Now only he sat here, facing catastrophe, imagining his brother and nephew standing against tens of thousands of Wusi Tibetan iron cavalry. If Wang Yan and Wang Fu had truly perished there, the Wang clan's power in the military would effectively collapse by half. He dared not think further. He could only feel his own hands shaking. No, pass down my order. No matter where that boy Sung is, find him, drag him back to the capital immediately. To him, at this moment, saving the last nephew mattered more than anything else. Zhiguiyuan the same night. Sui Qin received the pigeon message. The supply mission through the southwest was complete, after more than a month of mobilizing the full strength of every noble clan. She raised her head and spoke to everyone. You all know what kind of person Wang Sung is. I hope you trust him too, the way I do. The column changed course repeatedly through the night to throw off the pursuing cavalry. At dawn, they halted before an ancient stone stele, covered in moss nearly 1,000 years old. Wang Sung read the carved inscription, his voice dropping low. A Han dynasty general, by imperial decree, had once led his army through here to open the land of Yunnan nearly a millennium ago. What was once glory of expansion was now the place where Tang forces had to bow their heads and retreat. Xianyu Zhongtong stood silently before the steel, endless self-reproach in his voice. As Grand Protector of Annan, I cannot bear the weight of this price. In Wang Sung's memories of his past life, this man had been someone who shirked responsibility. Now, standing before him, he was an entirely different person. The army descended the mountain. Before them stood a secret construction, just taking shape on the hilltop, the very thing Wang Sung had been quietly preparing for a very long time. Zhang Shouji came out to greet them, his frame visibly aged from countless sleepless nights. He clasped Wang Sung's hand, his voice choking. "Young master, we've finally waited for you. I knew it. I knew you boys could do it." Wang Sung answered, a rare warmth in his eyes. "Elder Zhang, this time you truly did not disappoint me." From that moment, an invisible bond drew the two men tightly together. "Young master," the crew of builders rushed out, cheering at the sight of Wang Sung. He answered warmly, "You've all worked hard." Every one of them was floored with awe. Someone all the way in the distant capital had predicted every step of the battlefield perfectly. He walked over to the stacks of black steel secretly shipped from the capital, personally inspecting each assembly module. "This is the straw that will save our lives," he said, eyes never leaving the cargo. The forge glowed red-hot, hammers ringing ceaselessly. Craftsmen and soldiers worked in perfect rhythm, hoisting massive steel plates into place. A fortress unprecedented in Great Tang history was taking shape hour by hour. The enemy camp, at the same time. Long Camper rejoiced. The rain had stopped, they could resume the chase. But Huashu Guizhong was livid. Jusiluo had just suffered a crushing defeat in last night's pursuit, losing nearly 50,000 cavalry for nothing. Zheluofeng asked point-blank, had Great Tang reinforcements arrived? Huashu Guizhong shook his head in denial. It was Feng Jiayi who rose, his voice heavy. "Great Tang has no reinforcements at all. The one who defeated us was merely a cunning teenager impersonating Wang Fu." The command tent fell deathly silent. A teenager, alone, had just brought this mighty coalition to its knees. No one dared believe it, but no one dared deny it either. Zheluofeng and Jusiluo were openly skeptical. How could that brat possibly be that formidable? The southwest now had only Xianyu Zhongtong and Wang Yan. Both were merely quasi-general caliber. They could never be the root of such military brilliance. But listing every event sent chills down their spines. The unknown foe had thwarted 2 assassination plots targeting none other than Feng Jiayi and Jusiluo, then used the exact tactic of luring the tiger from its mountain to break Xianyu Zhongtong's siege, then shattered Huashu Guizhong's entire cavalry detachment. Daluan Ruozhen, who had sat motionless from the start, finally spoke, his calm terrifying. "I merely have a certain interest in that child, that's all." A flash of insight swept across the tent. Every eye turned toward him in astonishment. It was as if he had seen through something no one else could. He analyzed each clue one by one. The city that had just fallen featured genuine wartime fortifications. The unknown foe had marched straight up to the exact mountain where Wang Fu was stationed, and his strategy far surpassed every renowned general of the current era. It could not merely be a family's inherited martial tradition. The one causing the most trouble is not the defense-minded Wang Yan and his son. It is the one who built that lion city itself, Wang Sung, son of the Grand Chancellor. The father's name or the grandfather's name, to him at this moment, they no longer mattered. What mattered was the name Wang Sung. The Qilin child of the Wang clan, he murmured, his eyes alight with something unfathomable, half fascination, half hunger. He must be taken alive. As the order fell, Zheluofeng scanned the room, thinking to himself, Mongshe-Zhao and Wusi-Tibet were both allies and secret enemies. Cooperating, yes, but each must guard against the other until the very end. Daluan Ruozhen and Huashu Guizhong conferred privately. They should reveal part of the truth to Zheluofeng, deepening the rift between Great Tang and Mongshe-Zhao. Then the coalition set out. 600,000 troops poured down like a colossal machine, terrifyingly sophisticated, surging straight toward the Annan Protectorate Army's final stronghold. Atop the mountain, smoke billowed thick from the newly built fortifications. Daluan Ruozhen gazed afar and dismissed it with contempt. Mere makeshift works, changing nothing. Zheluofeng gave the order. All forces advance. Wipe out the Tang army. The smoke cleared, revealing something no one had ever seen in Great Tang history. The Miracle Fortress. A colossal steel citadel, assembled from hundreds of standard modules, erected at blinding speed atop the mountain in mere days. An invisible notification rang through Wang Sung's mind. For every 10,000 enemies slain, 50 destiny points awarded, with a cap increase of 500. Meager amid this decisive battle, but given his circumstances, no small step forward. Below the fortress walls, the entire Annan Protectorate army stood in formation. The exact number was confirmed, 64,824 souls. All that remained to face 500,000 enemies. Wang Sung looked down into the valley, recalling the detailed blueprints he had drawn months ago. The memories of his past life had shown him that this very place would be the decisive battlefield. He stood atop the mountain, facing a coalition of 500,000 spread to the horizon. Heavy wind whipped against his armor. Black clouds churned behind his back. Absolute composure. Only his eyes were different, blazing fiercely beneath the gloom, silently promising himself he would not let his father down. Dalawan Ruozhen rode forward, raising a dark gold cavalry lance inscribed with arcane patterns. One light tap. The stone steel before him shattered like cracked spiderweb, collapsing into fragments. Brother Wang, the straightforward do not speak in circles. The great Tang court can send no more reinforcements. With this meager force, you are no match for us. Wang Sung did not appear. The one who stepped forward to answer in his stead was Wang Yan, alive and well, his voice steady as bedrock. General, say what you will directly. My son is still young. He does not deserve such lofty praise from the general. A gentle reply, both refusing the offer of surrender and revealing nothing more. Dalawan Ruozhen laughed aloud and repeated his proposal verbatim. The straightforward do not speak in circles. With this meager force, how can you stand against us? Better to surrender and find a way to live. Behind the fortifications, Wang Sung heard every word. His father's brow merely furrowed slightly, not another syllable spoken. But inside his mind, a buzz exploded. He recognized it instantly. This was a calculated strike at their morale. He turned and urged Xinyu Zhongtong to stay silent no longer. They had to answer back with words of their own. Xinyu Zhongtong growled his reply, blunt and raw. Yesterday it was 50,000 of your men. Today, how many more of you intend to die? Dalawan Ruozhen suddenly realized. The one who held the spirit of this entire army was not Xinyu Zhongtong. He demanded to meet face-to-face with the mastermind behind it all. Wang Sung remained absolutely resolute in not showing himself. The more mysterious he remained, the less the enemy could grasp who he truly was. That was the last advantage he held against the most formidable opponent he had ever faced. Soldiers spread iron caltrops across every slope of the mountain, layer upon layer. Black as a colossal carpet, blanketing the terrain from peak to foothill, the final defensive line, now sealed shut. War drums had sounded. Battle horns had blown. The war was finally about to begin. Next episode. The great decisive battle that all of the Southwest has been awaiting across 4 parts. Who will walk away from this mountain alive?